What is up, team, and welcome back to the Technical Fowl podcast. As always, you're joined by the three of us. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pucylowski, and to my left is Sanders Oakley. How are we doing today, boys?
Pretty good. We're in the Padres. They're on right now in the top of the ninth, so we've got that on the extra TV here in the studio. Not been a great day, but also I'm not a big jersey guy. Like, I don't usually wear them because I just I don't know. I feel like they don't fit me right unless I'm wearing. I don't like wearing just jerseys, so I usually like to wear a hoodie or a long sleeve T-shirt. Wearing the long sleeve T-shirt hoodie today, and so I'm wearing shorts because I don't want to get hot. And now I will be monitoring the leg bounces closely. 0 leg bounces for me today. That's the goal.
They will come for you if you're not careful. So.
That's what we're trying to avoid. So we're trying to keep it a bounceless podcast from me, and also not get too hot. That's why we got the fans on. But
sure.
Yeah.
How are you, JP?
Bless you.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
I'm doing great.
Love to hear it.
Rivalry week in my fantasy league this weekend.
Oh, wow.
I got a massive win. It was cinema. We each had 2 players on Sunday Night Football. I had Jake Ferguson and George Pickens. He had Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft. And so that was cinema because Pickens and Ferguson went off. Tucker Kraft had 2 touchdowns that were tackled literally at the 1-yard line. Josh Jacobs was good. And then last night we also had 2 players in the 2 games. Me having Devon Achane, GOAT, and Garrett Wilson, and he had J.K. Dobbins and Jamar Chase. We both had the 2 highest points scored this week.
So
I won.
Did the Garrett Wilson OPI touchdown almost screw you? But he ended up scoring again?
Him scoring again worked out, but I ended up beating him by 20 points.
Okay, gotcha.
Wasn't Achane's touchdown? I didn't get to see the whole. Like, I looked away and looked back and saw the replay. It looked a lot like the week 1 one that was stupid, where he takes it, swings it right, and he shouldn't score, and then somehow he just is in the end zone. You're like, how did he do that?
No, it was a little bit different.
Okay,
it wasn't quite as stupid.
He still only had to beat 1 guy.
Yeah.
It's just the one guy.
He did cook the one guy.
Yeah.
He just hit him with what looks just such a simple sidestep, and the guy just goes on right by. But Achane is the GOAT.
Yeah.
So.
It had more impact than just being a rivalry win. I'm now 3-1, and he is now 0-4.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
How do
So
you determine
a
like
huge
the
swing.
rivalry games? In this?
It's just like who has like not like beef, but just like the most like just
Who's chirping all the time?
Yeah.
Like you and Morton would have that would be a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
100%.
like you and your brother, that'd be a rivalry game.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So it's me and one of my friends, and then we have all the other ones mixed up as well. So it was a big win, and now we're
Congrats.
in a trade season again. There was a 3-man trade just completed
Yep.
Oh, wow.
a few hours ago that I had to facilitate as commissioner of the league.
I'm working on a trade in the College Keeper League with Emmett Johnson. He just isn't going to be like he's probably not. He might not be here next year, and I'm not winning anything. So trying to see how many future picks I can get for him, or at least freshmen or something. So currently working on that. I've got a deal potentially with Andrew B, and then one with Chomps. He made me an offer. So
Are you not going to accept my offer I sent you out?
no, I don't think I will. I will
Dude,
say this. There's a tiny part of me that kind of thinks, oh, but he's going to either go somewhere else next year and compete. Or he's going to be but he's not going to be the starter because the freshmen at Oregon are too good.
That's why I haven't dropped him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he's only a junior.
Yeah,
So
there's a
Mikal
chance
Hughes may
that-
play elsewhere next year,
Yeah, the issue will be if he transfers out of the Big Ten /SEC.
which would really hurt. But at this point, I'm so far gone. Like, I can't give up yet.
I mean, best case scenario for you, he transfers and backs up Fluff Bothwell, right? And is part of that dynamic duo next year.
No, that would be not a good. That'd be kind of worse. It wouldn't be worst case scenario 'cause he'd still be playable, but Fluff Bothwell will just be running back 1 clearly.
I think it's worst case scenario is he transfers out of our player pool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's-
worst
that's
case.
what
But
I'm saying.
worst case, I guess that's the second worst case.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll do that.
What, transfer to state?
Well, more so like go transfer into a crowded running back room
I
because
agree.
look what happened to him this past
Yeah.
time.
True.
So
Maybe Clemson. Except that Clemson doesn't take transfers.
Yeah,
So
and they're actually fine at running back with the true freshman. And Jay Haynes is supposed to return pretty soon.
huge.
Cool.
Well,
Anything else?
I think that's it. We can get into.
Do we want to do like our weekly recap of the NFL. Big
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
stuff.
We're going to do that first, and then we'll get into our specific game breakdowns, and then move on to the Pucylowski pyramid. But I'm going to ask you all the same question I asked you all last show. Favorite moment of the week, favorite thing from the week.
Sanders Chargers losing, of course. That's your favorite moment.
Yeah, no, that sucked. Was not a fan of that. That's probably my least favorite moment. I'm trying to think like highlights. I watched the games here because Jack was out of town.
I don't know if this is my favorite. Off the top of my head, this is what I'm remembering because it was last night. The Garrett Wilson touchdowns, one that was called OPI somehow, was probably my highlight of the week just because he's a dog and I have him on a fantasy team, but he's also just both were great catches, and it's kind of cool to see him produce with Justin Fields like
I've
it's
got
back at
mine.
college.
The Dak throw, that was insane.
Ridiculous.
Where he's rolling out right, and I thought he was throwing it away, and then they pan, and there's a wide receiver there, and then was it Tolbert? Is that who caught it?
Yeah.
Shout out him because like it wasn't even that was not an easy catch to be coming back to the ball, coming out of bounds. Got to stay, keep your toes in. He did it. It was a fantastic throw and almost as good a catch as it was a throw.
Sure.
So it was nice to see like Dak's playing really well this season. And I feel like there's been a lot of like clippable moments of him like maybe throwing an interception or something. And so as always, people are going to dog on Dak because the Cowboys are not winning. And it was kind of nice to have like the reverse, him have like a huge highlight that'll go viral as opposed to a stupid thing that isn't his fault. But that was a really great play by him. So that was awesome to see. And it's also Sunday Night Football. Wild game.
The hater in me also enjoyed the Ravens dropping to 1-3.
I would have rather had the Chiefs drop 1-3. So that's the hater in me was not happy with that.
I would have
outcome.
accepted either, but also just the way it happened. It's kind of we're bordering on disaster for the Ravens, and I can't say I'm too displeased.
Harris,
so.
if that was the second most electric game, what was the first most electric game you've seen this year?
Bills Ravens. Duh.
Yeah, that's probably what he's talking. Let's see, this was week 4.
I mean, best moment was Saints are another loss closer to the number 1 overall pick.
Sure.
Biggest game of the season this coming weekend, playing the Giants.
When do y'all play the Panthers? Is that not going to be biggest game of the season?
That'll be critical too, but I think that it's just taking it one game at a time,
Sure,
especially
fair.
head to head.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The Panthers one, we could end up splitting the series, and it doesn't matter. And I think then it would become like worst divisional record that determines the tiebreaker between the two. I don't know. Probably NFC record. But the Giants one matters a ton just because that'll be head to head.
Sure.
And Jackson Dart may go and win a couple games here and there for the Giants. I don't expect it. But that was probably the best moment. Then also Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Larry and the Colts fans out there. That is a game they should have won, and that is a monumental mistake. And I don't think it was talked about enough.
That's fair.
This weekend.
I think it didn't get talked about enough because it's a horrible mistake, but it is somehow better than like dropping the ball on the 1 because he's just trying to like reach it out and he just loses it, which is still so terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't like a mental lapse. It was a physical lapse, which I feel like is more forgivable than a mental.
Both are bad, and then he also has the block that brings back, or the holding that brings back the Jonathan Taylor run. So it's a nice 1-2.
I was listening to a review. Apparently, Jonathan Taylor has also had one of those mental lapses earlier in his career.
He has dropped the ball at the 1.
That was I had forgotten about that. So, and he hasn't done that since then. So I'll be interested to see how AD Mitchell kind of like bounces back if he becomes the guy who like some guys like that happens and they turn into I set the ball down on the inline on the back of the end zone
Sure.
Or I know there's stories about coaches being like when you score you hand the ball to this coach you don't so I'll be interested to see how he recovers from that, but that was really tough. Not highlights, but the big parts of the week were 2 big injuries. I'm not going to call those highlights because, I don't know, lowlights. Impactful moments. Malik Neighbors tears his ACL. Very unfortunate for me in the couples league.
Very unfortunate for Malik Neighbors and the Giants as well.
Yes, very. Especially, the offense with Jackson Dart looked good. or at least looked semi-effective against the defense we thought was really good. They managed to drop 21, I guess, something like that. They won 21-18.
I would not classify that as looking good.
But, like, when you think about
They look better than the Russell Wilson
correct.
iteration
And
from the
also you
previous
have
week.
to, like, I expected them to score, like, 10
Sure.
against the Chargers defense. Like, with a rookie quarterback, like, they impressed me more. They exceeded my expectations under a rookie quarterback.
Eye test, sure. Dart definitely threw a little bit more conviction. Obviously, I mean, it's hard to not, but he threw more like someone trying to win the football game, which Russ clearly did not in the Chiefs game the week prior. But Scatterbo had 75 yards on like 25 touches, and Dart threw for like 120 yards.
Yeah.
A win is a win is a win, and a win over that team is impressive. But I don't know if they necessarily looked good.
Nothing about my opinion has changed because of that game in terms of like, oh, maybe the Giants are gonna like pick up some
Especially with the
multiple
Malik
wins.
Neighbors injury.
And it
Yes.
hasn't changed. The Malik Neighbors injury hurts them a ton, but on top of that, it hasn't changed Vegas's feeling. Giants are still only 1.5 point favorites at New Orleans this weekend. So on a neutral field, they'd be 3 point favorites over the New Orleans Saints. So it's not really a big change of perception yet. They're gonna have to put
Yeah.
together weeks of this.
Yeah. I think Giants fans probably walk away pretty excited, though.
Oh,
Dart,
yeah.
Dart didn't look...
Won a game.
Yeah, I mean, won a game. Dart made some big plays, especially on the ground. The comp I've heard since yesterday was Tim Tebow. He had a very Tim Tebow-like game. Yeah, some ugly passing, but then, like, some good designed QB. The QB draw to score the 15-yard touchdown was big. So a Tim Tebow comp is what I've heard. The other injury last night, Tyreek Hill. Duncan and Yapping was asking if it was the worst injury ever. I still think it's Marcus Lattimore. That injury, what year was that? Was that like 2010, something like that? 2011? It was like early 2010s, late 2000s. That's my first probably big injury memory, and then the second one is the Louisville like jump shot shin snap.
That one's terrible.
Yeah, so those two are like it's really sad that like lives in my brain, but the Marcus Lattimore lives in my brain. This one was pretty close. Really tough for the Dolphins. We'll see them later. They will appear later in our power rankings, or JP's power rankings, not our power rankings. They'll appear in the Pucylowski pyramid. It's just bad. And losing Tyreek for an offense that has been struggling through the first 3 or 4 weeks with a head coach who's like kind of trying to hold everything together. You don't want to lose one of your most dynamic playmakers, or
Sure.
when your whole offense is centered around having a bunch of dynamic playmakers. So, and then also that one really makes me sad because Tyreek is in his early 30s, though, and his whole he makes his name and his plays are all because he's fit, he's fast, and he's quick. And at that age, I don't expect him to come back from the ACL and still have that same speed and that same quickness. So I think that might be the end for him. We may see him come back and try to play, but I don't think he's ever going to be like anything close to what we remember Tyreek Hill being. Harris said DeMar Hamlin is worse. Yeah, the injury itself was worse, but visually, I don't remember the DeMar Hamlin thing being scarring. He got hit, and
You did not cringe away from the TV watching it.
yes, the Tyreek Hill and then Marcus Lattimore, you close your eyes and look away. But yeah, the injuries were big. Smaller injuries, Joe Alt, ankle injury, out a couple weeks. The meme now, you remember the meme about it was the same with Joe Burrow, it was Jamar Chase versus Penei Sewell, right? If you draft Sewell, it's Joe Burrow throwing balls that get dropped by anybody, and if you draft Chase, it's Burrow getting sacked. And then the same thing happened for Herbert with Joe Alt versus Malik Neighbors, except now it's just you drafted Joe
No one
Alt,
wins.
and yeah, nobody wins because now we don't have. Well, actually, we did actually end up finding out we have wide receivers potentially in Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen, but we don't have an offensive line now. They signed somebody to the practice squad today, but me and Jack were talking about this. The depth at offensive line just across the NFL is not there, really for any team, and that's in part because it's there's no other position group, I guess, where you need 5 guys. wide receivers, you've got 2 or 3 on the field at once. Running back, you've got 1. D-line, even, you've got 3, maybe 4. But, like, offensive line, having 5 guys out there that you have to field. And also, like, individually, if one makes, like, I feel like an offensive lineman making a mistake can impact the game because the D-lineman gets the quarterback so quick. That can be very impactful. So, a very impactful position. And the Chargers have basically nobody there at this point. Any other injuries or any other news from the weekend, JP?
Well, there's some fallout. Joe Flacco finally is getting benched.
Yep.
Dylan Gabriel's going to start week 5 over Shador. And they play a very good team, if I'm not
It's
mistaken.
the Vikings, I think.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
right. They play
they could
in
score
London.
10
against the
points and win
Vikings.
that game maybe because with how hurt the Vikings offensive line is, I've seen multiple Viking fans online being like, we really have to play Myles Garrett next week. So it could get interesting
Yeah,
in
it
that
could
regard.
definitely could get
we can
dicey.
like 17-10.
I don't expect a very clean game in London or a very
The total right now
explosive
is
game.
36.5.
yeah. So
That's like an Iowa point total right
Yeah.
there. It's 18 points apiece. So Vegas agrees with that. Other injury stuff like Brock Purdy may not play Thursday. Straight up, genuinely may not play. So maybe Mac Jones again going forward. And really, other than that, nothing huge on injury-wise. CeeDee Lamb is probably not going to play next week. But it doesn't seem to matter. The Cowboys are the best offense in the league, undoubtedly.
I guess I was going to say it, but we're going to talk about the Ravens specifically later. But Matt Abuke is out for the season.
Yep.
And he's their best interior pass rusher for a pass rush that's just been straight up bad so far.
Ravens were without 8 of 11 starters defensively at some point this past Sunday. And Lamar, of course, hurt his hamstring, and
That too,
he
yeah.
is questionable to play this weekend. In fact, they pretty much believe he won't. Vegas believes he won't. The spread for Ravens-Texans opened as the Ravens favored by 6.5. If you had to guess the spread right now, what would you guess the spread is?
Ravens 1.5.
Is it at the Texans?
It's at
Yeah,
Ravens.
it's at Ravens.
At the Ravens. Who's the backup there? Is it
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush? Yeah. Would you say 2.5?
1.5.
I'll say 2.5 Ravens.
The Texans are favored by 2.5.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
The spread has dropped 9 points with Lamar Jackson potentially not playing this weekend. That kind of signifies the impact of Lamar right there. The Texans, who were not even that great this weekend either against the Titans, game was 6-0 in the fourth quarter, are 2.5-point favorites right now in Baltimore, and that may even get bet up as we learn more throughout the week. But that's kind of all the injury news as far as I can remember off the top of my head as well.
Yeah, that's all I can think. I mean, there's so many around the league each week. We definitely missed a couple, but those are the biggest names and the biggest injuries.
Yeah.
So, any other big takeaways, or do you want to get into
Saints
the big
played a
games?
competitive game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Were
doesn't
you
matter.
nervous at any point
Nervous? No.
about them winning?
No. I couldn't care less. Obviously, like I would have purchased a Spencer Rattler jersey had they won, and also the outlook on the season would have completely changed. Now this weekend would become a must-win. But no, I wasn't really nervous. There's too much faith in Josh Allen and the Bills.
Sure.
I felt the same about that game as I did Bills-Dolphins, where it's just there was no way Buffalo was losing this game. Even though they were trailing for a second, and then the touchdown got overturned for Brandon Cooks, which I disagree with. It was a touchdown in my opinion. But no, I was not nervous really at any point. I'm watching those games with
Some house money.
house money. Yeah, nothing to
Sure.
worry about until Tyler Shucks starts, and then we can watch those games with some angst to see if he is the answer, the solution, which I doubt it at this point. Spencer Rattler is
Sure.
now 0-10 as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
He's approaching uncharted waters. There's a couple QBs that have started like 0-15.
Really?
But not much past that. So if he keeps starting for much longer, he can join that rarefied air that you don't want to be in.
Seems he's going to start this weekend. They really want to get him a win, and they have the best chance this season hosting the Giants this weekend. So that's
Sure.
completely possible. I do, though, feel, however, that Kellen Moore is doing a fine job. And what I love right now is that he's running his stuff regardless of whether or not he has the guys that work well to his stuff. There were play calls that didn't make sense for the personnel we have, but it's play calls that would be successful if we had the right personnel going forward. So, like the Chris Olave interception, pure stupidity. But if you have a wide receiver who can actually do that, and you don't have Spencer Rattler going out there to catch the pass, maybe it's a different story.
Sure.
Quarterback power with Spencer Rattler on a 2-point conversion doesn't make a lot of sense.
You know who'd score that?
Lenore Sellers.
Lenore Sellers would score that.
So
Will score that.
That's how I feel right now. And I think they played with a ton of energy, and I think they're not distraught in that locker room. Unlike Monday night, you watch Aaron Glenn sit there on the sideline the entire game for the Jets, and you can just tell that's probably not going to go well going forward.
Did you hear that, like, reporters in the press conference room could hear him yelling from the locker room?
Yelling at the team?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, post-game.
I guess he was just saving it for the post-game conversation because he showed about zero emotion the entire game outside of patting Justin on the head for his touchdown.
Sure.
Very different, a dichotomy of last week with the Buccaneers game where he delivered one of the
memes
maybe
of the
that's
season.
why he
gifts
didn't.
of all time.
Maybe that's why he didn't want to show any emotion because he didn't get memed again.
No,
one way
I
or
think
the
he
other.
was just knew he was losing to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And that kind of cements their season as a like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was kind of how the Bengals were acting. They were down 21 with 3 minutes left, and they punted on 4th and 3, and everyone was like, "So they've just given up."
Well, Jake Browning is your QB, and
Yeah.
he looks bad on the field, and then you go look at the advanced stats, and it becomes even worse. So
Yeah.
it's bad all around.
They had 9 punts in a row last night.
They trading for Jameis, you think? Somebody?
I trade for Kirk in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
I try
you
to
just
get
can't.
that.
You can't have two guys on under contract that expensive though. You can't have
They
Deshaun
don't-
Watson.
They only have
and
to pay
Kirk
his base salary.
Okay.
So with the way trading NFL contracts work is NFL contracts are typically split up into two things: base salary, which is what you're paid for going and playing the game, and then signing bonus. Signing bonus is given up front every year, and there's a different signing bonus for every year. When you trade a guy, you have to pay his signing bonus across those years that you sign the contract with him to. The other team just has to pay only his base salary.
Where
Sure.
does the guaranteed money? So guaranteed money is that like base salary? But if you get let go before you finish your contract, they have to pay you the rest.
There's different clauses. You have guaranteed. Signing bonus is fully guaranteed money, but you can also have contracts that are fully guaranteed, meaning if you're like Tyreek Hill and you break your leg, you are paid in game checks, regardless of whether or not you suit up to play. That, though, is base salary, and that is something that the other team has to pay.
Cool.
You only have to pay the signing bonus if you trade away one of your players. So the Falcons would have to trade that, and the majority of Kirk Cousins' contract is signing bonus.
Yeah.
Because if you're a player of that age, you want as much guaranteed money as you can get, which he got $160 million guaranteed, both in base salary and signing bonus. But I would target Kirk if I'm the Bengals or Jameis. But I'd target Kirk first. He's more of a winning quarterback.
Yeah.
His record is just better.
Gardner Minshew still available? I don't know.
I wouldn't get Gardner Minshew. I don't think he's going to be better than Jake Browning. But
Really?
I don't think you can continue with Jake Browning, seeing what you've seen through 3 weeks.
I agree.
That's just irrational. It doesn't matter what happened 2 years ago. It's completely irrational to continue to put that product out there on the field.
Yeah, unless you're thinking you go, like you just start him through the season and you don't bring Joe Burrow back, like Burrow's just done for the season, and then you go get LT Overton like 3rd overall next year.
Yeah, I get that to some degree, but look at the division.
Yeah.
The Steelers are 3-1. But you have to kind of feel with Aaron Rodgers that you have a potential leg up in that. And the Ravens are 1-3, and they might be 1-5 by the time Lamar returns.
Yeah.
So go out there and try to win the division. You're 2-2. Joe was able to get you 2 wins before he got hurt. In-house, it feels like they still believe that he's going to return in December. It doesn't feel like that in the general NFL media right now. But with where the division is at, like, there's no reason to not go and try and win the division, especially if you think Joe's going to come back, because you can make the playoffs and then Joe's ready to play. And with that offense with Joe, there's really no reason that they can't win games in the AFC playoffs. And like, if they lose a ton of games, Zach Taylor's going to get fired. So the coaching staff, there's no reason to not go out there and win.
Harris said his hot take is that Fields is the best part of the Jets team. I know going into the season I was high on Fields and the two of y'all weren't. Against Miami, he had 225 yards and a touchdown, 20 for 27. And then he added a bunch of yards on the ground with he had 81 yards on the ground with a touchdown. He definitely, I mean, he's not a pocket passer by any means, but his running threat does kind of give him some like like flexibility as a quarterback that you don't have with a whole lot of guys.
Sure.
So I'm just curious, like, y'all's thoughts on Justin Fields. 27 yards against Buffalo. They were just destroyed in that game, but 218 in a touchdown. He hasn't thrown a pick yet, which, like, he's only thrown 2 touchdowns, but then I can't see his rushing stats. What are your thoughts on Justin Fields through 3 weeks, JP?
Well, they fumbled 3 times. Not that penalties was what cost them, and a ton of their penalties were penalties. Like, they had a ton of procedural penalties, and they had just had a ton of stupid penalties too, holding calls when why are you even holding, stuff like that. So they rightfully lost that game. They lost the ball 3 times. You're just never going to win like that.
Yeah.
Especially when you go on these I'll speak on it later with, like, the Vikings. When you go on these long drives where you're running the ball so well, first drive of the game, you get all the way down inside the 5-yard line and you fumble the ball. That stuff is demoralizing. That is just what non-winning teams do. So I disagree. I don't think they're going to get to a higher record than the Bengals. Justin Fields is also kind of one-dimensional.
He's got 3 touchdowns on the ground, so
he's
5 total.
Great runner, great athlete. He showed that last night with his touchdown. But he completed 1 pass longer than 10 yards. All of his completions were under 10 yards, essentially kind of check downs, dink and dunks. His only 1 pass he completed was to Garrett Wilson for the touchdown. Like, there's no downfield passing threat whatsoever with that team, and there should be, especially when you have Garrett Wilson. So I don't know about that going forward. And you just look at the way the team played, I don't think there's not a lot of faith or belief in that locker room, which is just unfortunate and kind of unexpected. Yeah, I kind of expected Aaron Glenn to bring that. They showed that last week with Tyrod Taylor playing. They really showed that in the Buccaneers game. But last night was just, like, completely distraught. Garrett Wilson is complaining to the team pretty much the entire game, saying, get me the ball. They throw to him twice, and he doesn't end up coming down with the catch 2 of those times, like, almost immediately after he complains for it. And then defensively, like, to let Tua beat you is also kind of an indictment. Tyreek Hill was having a great night, but post Tyreek Hill, like, they were still getting what they wanted with Devon Achane on the ground, which kind of closed out the game.
Yeah.
I don't see it. They're 0-4 to the Bengals 2-2, and I think the Bengals are going to make a move. One of my bets that I made was the Jets under 5.5 wins this year, and I also put some bread on under 3.5, and I think both of those are very well in play. They're 0-4 through the first quarter of the season, with 3 quarters to go, and I just don't see them getting to 6 or 7 wins.
Sure.
Which I just said 6 or 7, so my fault.
You didn't dodge it that time. I think Fields has played fine. He's not, like, the biggest issue with this team. I thought the defense would be better than it has been, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
especially you bring in Aaron Glenn and the defense he had in Detroit.
Sure. I just don't think Fields is ever going to be a guy to win you games, and that's kind of the most important thing. but he is fun to watch. Like his run last night, his big touchdown run
Is awesome.
was fun.
That was my
So-
thing about him coming in. Is I hope that he would get a chance to start because he's so fun to watch. And he's putting up the stats. I mean, he's putting up probably decent fantasy numbers. I don't have him up, but I mean, he's still fun to watch, even 5-6 years in the league.
Yeah, he's doing great from a fantasy perspective.
Which is how he
he's
was doing
averaging
in Pittsburgh.
20 points per game,
Yeah, that's what he was doing in Pittsburgh before he
Yeah.
got benched.
which I have him, so I'm
You're happy
That's
about
huge.
that?
That's
happy
huge.
about that.
I had him
Valid.
last
I'll
year.
be starting him this week against the Dallas Cowboys.
As you
Nice.
should.
I would expect them to cook because
It-
everyone has cooked.
Yeah,
Agreed. Any other things before we get into the specific game breakdowns?
I think I'm good.
No,
Okay, cool. Well, let's start with Philly at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Cool. The Eagles go on the road to Tampa Bay, and once again for the Eagles, it's a tale of two halves, except this time it's flipped. They dominate the first half. Hurts is something like 15 for 16 through the air. They're up big. It kind of looks like it's over for the Buccaneers. And then we get to the second half, and Jalen Hurts doesn't complete a pass. He's 0 for 8. And the Buccaneers storm all the way back, but can't finish the comeback, and they lose 31-25. So the Eagles stay undefeated, and the Buccaneers take their first loss of the season. Key takeaways from this game, guys?
Yeah, I tweeted it during the game. Vita Vea had a big impact, but it was not in the way I thought he's gonna have an impact. I don't know that the Eagles had any tush pushes. They had the one. Did they have a fake tush push?
they faked the only
They ran
tush
like
push,
the pitch out of
Yeah.
it or whatever.
which
Um,
I predicted. I take
yeah,
credit for.
you did
Good
predict.
stuff.
We predicted here on the show that Vita Vea might be the counter to the tush push. We never got a chance to saw that. Whether that was because the Eagles were concerned about it and therefore avoided it, which is why they put up the trick play, we'll never know. We are not in the coach's office to have that conversation. But Vita Vea had 2 sacks, at least. He may have ended up with more, but he had 2 sacks at one point. So he did not impact the game in the way that I expected him to, but still a big impact. Kind of gave the Bucs a chance because I think one of those sacks came on like a 3rd down in the 4th quarter when the Eagles were trying to put the nail in the coffin and get a first down. He gets to Hurts, brings him down. Emeka Egbuka, I think that, I really thought the Bucs were going to win this because Baker got the ball back with another chance to drive down and go hit the walk-off touchdown after the big play to Egbuka with a long touchdown. I can't remember how far it was, but it was a
77.
70. And then they had one did Bucky Irving also had a rush touchdown?
A catch as well. That was 72.
Yeah, so 2 big touchdowns in the 3rd quarter. And then you kind of thought, wow, the Bucs are going to do this. Like they might be able to claw their way back in on the back of that dynamic offense. And then they score 5 in the 4th. And I think one of those was the safety.
The intentional safety.
Yeah, the
at the end of
intentional
game. Yeah.
safety at the end of the game to run the clock down. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Bucs fan, you're probably walking away. I was cheering for the Bucs. I love the Bucs right now. They're a really fun team to watch, and I love Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to speak as a Bucs fan for the next minute. I'm kind of disappointed. I really thought that they had a chance here, especially, like I said, with the ball in Baker's hands to go down. The way the offense was clicking. You've got Chris Godwin back, which you kind of hoped he could step in and take the Mike Evans touches with Mike Evans out for a hamstring. And it just didn't work for the entire first half. And when it finally did work, it just wasn't quite enough. The Eagles get it done. But yeah, I think that you have to feel good, I guess, going forward. The Bucs competed. You think that they can so now I think if you're the Bucs, you know that you can beat anybody else probably or almost anybody else. But you've got to be concerned running into the Eagles again, probably in Philadelphia in the playoffs, because I don't think you're going to finish ranked ahead of them in a seed. So I think that there's a good chance you rematch with them in the playoffs, and then you're pretty nervous about losing again.
I don't have that takeaway at all.
Okay.
I would actually if I'm a Bucs fan, okay, we lost round 1. A round 1 that does not matter at the end of the day. It may matter for home field
I'm about
advantage.
to say it could matter for playoff seeding.
But that is about it. Your season's not over because you lost this round. They held Saquon Barkley to 2.3 yards per carry, 43 yards. Jalen Hurts was terrible in the second half. His 2 touchdown passes were a total of 7 air yards, and neither were past the line of scrimmage.
Nice.
Both shovel passes to Dallas Goedert. So you're not scared of like A.J. Brown and being able to take you over the top because that didn't happen, especially when they were trying to go to it. The only time A.J. Brown touched the ball, he had one little short catch and then he had a slant route.
Yeah.
That was for a big first down in the second half. Or not the second half, in the first half because Hurts didn't complete a pass in the second half. But I take it as, okay, we just lost the round one. And we were without Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's first game back off a devastating leg injury.
Can't expect he's like 100% yet.
Tristan Wirf's first game back off of the injuries he dealt with this offseason. You're still without your right tackle as well. And you were in it. Baker had a chance going down the field at the end of the game. He just throws a pick, unfortunately. But that's going to happen. You put your faith in Baker because at least at this moment in the season, he's 3 out of 4 on taking you down the field for a game-winning drive when it matters most. Defensively, I thought they played really, really well, especially in the second half, and it was able to get them in the game. Baker was able to find downfield shots, hitting Emeka Ibuka and Bucky Irving. I'd walk away more happy about this as a Bucs fan than an Eagles fan. For the Eagles, like, winning is great, but now I know I said no further questions, Your Honor, last week, but
I lied, kind of. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. You don't like what you just saw. I don't have any questions because they've at least proven that when it matters, they can do it. But why aren't you doing it? I think is the biggest question going forward. And for them, is A.J. Brown going to request a trade? We had the whole book controversy last year.
Yeah.
The book controversy occurred in the playoffs. We are now tweeting verses from the Bible after week 4. So we're already angry.
Yeah.
Within, I think it was 3 days after the Super Bowl, he posted on Instagram after winning the Super Bowl that he doesn't care about winning. All I care about is dominating a defensive back. He is one of your best weapons, and I think, is going to request a trade at some point because it's week 4 and he's already clearly upset with how things are going. And it's not even really his fault, and I don't think it's the Eagles' fault either. Hurts and their games don't complement each other. Where is A.J. Brown the best? Intermediate, dig routes, the slant route, that kind of stuff. He's not a guy that's going to beat you over the top. He's a physical guy that can win a one-on-one battle with a DB because he
wants to dominate him.
Yeah, he will destroy you. Jalen Hurts, where is he worst at throwing the football? Intermediate, over the middle of the field, in between the numbers. He's great on checkdowns. He's great over the top on the sidelines. That doesn't complement each other. And so it may even make sense to trade him if you can get a good package for him. But that's, I think, the only question going forward for Philly is your best weapon going to request a trade? And you need him. You don't want to get rid of A.J. Brown. You saw how that went for the Titans. So
I was going to say, imagine the Titans traded back for him to help out Cam Ward. And
completely
develop
possible. I heard that suggestion earlier today.
Oh, that's crazy.
On Twitter. So that, I think, is kind of your concern. But I disagree. I don't think the Bucs should walk away feeling upset about this whatsoever. You lost round 1. Baker finally didn't complete the game-winning drive.
Had to happen at some point.
Yeah, so be it. You'd rather it happen now than later in the season, of course. And you're 3-1 through 4 weeks. I think you would have taken that coming into the season.
Sure.
100%. And that your division is kind of not of a contest anymore. Head-to-head might matter, but I just don't think you can walk away feeling like – I don't think they feel like they got dominated.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
I don't think they got
Eagles-
dominated.
Exactly.
I just think it's unfortunate that losing round 1 means there's a good chance that round 2 is in Philly.
I don't think they're scared of that.
I think
fair.
if I'm gonna, I think
Did
I
they
kinda
beat them in Philly last year?
No. Last year, the 2 times they've beaten them have both been at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I can side with JP here because they have beaten before. I know it's not been in Philly. This game ended up being close, and I don't think Baker's going to be scared of anybody.
Yeah.
And if that's kind of who's leading that team, I don't think that's really the takeaway there. I think they're just happy to be 3-1 through this stretch of the season, considering the injuries they've had, and they're just looking to get more healthy as they continue down the stretch. And there's a lot of positives to draw from this game. Bucky Irving is just that guy, and I mean,
He's hurt now, though, right?
he is hurt,
Yeah, he's getting an MRI.
but I don't think it'll be a season-ending issue, whatever it is. So I guess it may take him even longer to get healthy. But there's the receiving production he can provide, as well as being a rusher, is just huge for that offense. Ibuka continues to make big plays. The defense looked good. I know they didn't give up a ton of points. The biggest thing for them right now is honestly you got to clean up special teams, because now you've given up special teams touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. You've had a field goal block and a punt blocked, and that can't continue. That is something that can end up losing you a game come playoffs. Like, I think that's kind of their head coach's biggest concern / annoyance right now, is
Sure.
because that's like theoretically really simple things to do. It's like block on a field goal, block on a punt, and so to have that happen in back-to-back weeks didn't cost you against the Jets, but it was actually the difference. If you're just simply going to look at the score, I know that's not how football works. It changes how the game plays out. But the 7-point swing, and you lost by 6. So
Yeah,
that really
immediately
hurts.
start the game, too.
Correct. Not at all how you want to start. So I think,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I have a question, but
Yeah.
if you were, I didn't
No.
realize you had.
I was just going to reiterate that that's what their coach is most mad about. But
So I was thinking about this morning, the Cooper DeJean interception, right? Baker throws it on like a little curl. DeJean jumps it, dives. It turns out it's incomplete, but the refs called an interception. They play through, and then there's a flag thrown, right? And it's like an unnecessary roughness that I think was on like the return. That's kind of like the timing of the flag made it feel like it was on the return.
Yeah.
This is like maybe this is like nitpicky, but like that seems pretty screwed up. That the refs get a call wrong, right? They called an incomplete pass and interception, and then while the Eagles are playing through that, they commit a penalty. Whereas if the refs don't get the call wrong, there is no penalty.
Yeah, but you still commit the penalty.
It's, playing through the whistle.
Yeah.
Playing benefit of the doubt. Like assuming the ball was caught and just letting the play continue. Assuming he wasn't down and letting it continue. And like for the players, you're taught to play through the whistle. I don't think it plays any differently.
That was just like an interesting thought I had where the refs are yes, you do commit the penalty, but you're also committing it in like a time that you shouldn't even be, like, you should be in the huddle right now.
Sure.
Agreed.
Which is just it's unfortunate that the Eagles got hurt. It didn't end up losing in the game, but had that thought of like, oh well, there's another way refs can impact the game that I had never thought about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just interception, no interception, but now you're gifting the Bucs 15 yards and a first down.
It is unfortunate for the Eagles, but I think if you ask them, they would prefer to have the chance that it is an interception and get to, have the chance to return it for a touchdown or put their offense in a better field position.
For sure.
So, but yeah, that is interesting.
It's a discipline thing at the end of the day anyway. An unnecessary roughness.
You should never commit
penalty.
penalties.
You shouldn't be committing
So you
those.
gotta start the Cabo Fund.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up on Thursday.
You-
but
yeah, well,
I
we'll-
watched that. That was funny.
We'll retread that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Last thing I have
Yeah,
on
go
this
ahead.
game, Quinyon Mitchell had his best game of the season.
Absolutely.
Was phenomenal, and I don't know what the repeatability of that is, or what he looks like week to week.
Statistically, just 2 receptions for 6 yards on 6 targets.
Yeah. But
Against Emeka Ibuka.
if he can repeat that, or even repeat something close to that, and start just being more consistent, that transforms the outlook of this Eagles secondary with Cooper DeJean and then him as both like legit shutdown corners or guys that can match up against 2 weapons from the other team. Yeah, that makes their defense that much more scary, and that was kind of one of their bigger holes this offseason, or through the first couple weeks of the season, was QB2, so cornerback 2, CB2.
Yeah,
so that's something positive for Eagles fans.
for sure.
That's the last thing I have. I don't know if you have anything else.
No, I've got nothing else.
Cool.
I do feel, though, still like the biggest takeaways is just the A.J. Brown.
Agreed. I said that, so I had my biggest takeaway is I'm going to stop trying to figure out this Eagles team and just chalk them up as right now, like, no one knows what this, like, play a good half, play a bad half means, or, like, because I don't understand them at all. And so I'm going to stop trying, and I'm just going to watch, and it'll unfold in some way, and I'll go from there.
He's 66th in receiving yards, 61st in receptions.
And
the
yesterday
NFL.
they tried to get him the ball too. Some games he just doesn't get targets, but
Yeah.
like they were trying to get him
He had
targets
9 targets.
and just 2 catches, so it just didn't even work out.
Cool. I'm going to call that the end of the segment and then ask y'all, because I just had a really good spot for him to land. Do y'all have, like, if you just wanted to go off the top of your head, where he could go in a trade?
Well, I would expect him to trade across the conference
Mhm.
Sure.
That's the team I'm thinking about.
to an AFC team.
You thinking the Bills?
I
Okay.
think you're thinking the Raiders.
I am thinking the
and
Raiders.
He doesn't make. I don't know if he makes. I'm fine with that. Geno's fine in the intermediate. I don't know what they would be able to give up, but I think that actually fits a lot to what I was asking for.
Exactly. That's what
2
I was
weeks
thinking.
ago.
Is the conversation after the Chargers-Raiders game was how much they needed wide receiver help. And A.J. Brown, while he doesn't complement Jalen Hurts very well, is still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL when used properly. And I think they've already got speed there. And one of the Thornton?
Deontay Thornton.
Deontay
Or
Deontay
Dante.
Thornton.
It's just Dante.
Dante Thornton.
Yeah.
They've got Brock
rookie out of
Bowers.
Tennessee.
I think A.J. Brown could take that from a wide receiver room that I kind of hated in the preseason to maybe one of the best. Because if you go from you make A.J. Brown wide receiver 1, everyone else drops a peg, and then you've got Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. Even though the offensive line is awful, they might still be able to get to 9 wins.
Yeah, it's possible. My fit concern was actually just locker room wise. I don't know
Yeah.
if he fits with
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll. I don't know if
Sure.
he fits with Geno Smith.
I'm
But he fits with the Raiders. I'll tell you that much. He fits with Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm also just I'm not sure he's a guy that's going to fit very well in most locker rooms. Like I
That's
think
fair.
with him there's just kind of always some sort of you have to like work around him or go out of your way to not make him mad. He may just be one of those guys.
Another team I'll throw out, New England Patriots. Also in the market with a young, not also. They have a young quarterback. So getting him to help
Former head
develop.
coach Mike Vrabel
Yeah.
as well.
Sure. I could see it.
Yeah, at Tennessee. The crazy thing would be trading him back to the Titans.
He fits perfectly with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And Cam Ward is the perfect personality for A.J. Brown because he's the complete opposite of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He has still good qualities like Jalen Hurts. Just his qualities are keeping it real and utmost confidence in himself outwardly.
Sure.
Cool.
I think he'd be a perfect fit there in Tennessee. And Cam Ward needs a receiver. Cam Ward's on a rookie contract.
I've heard that there's a rift now with Calvin Ridley and potential like using less usage there for him.
Well, he can't catch the ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That has been Ridley's biggest problem so far this year.
He should take lessons from Quentin Johnston, a guy that figured it out.
yeah, sure.
He just never should have gambled.
Yeah.
He tanked himself once he lost that entire year, and then was traded from Atlanta because of that.
Yeah.
But A.J. Brown in New England, Tennessee makes sense. Raiders, I think, makes sense from a schematic fit wise. I don't know if it makes sense for a personality fit, but I do think he's just in a spot where I think he's going to request a trade, even if they're undefeated. He's just not getting the ball, and that's very obvious that that's what he wants. And like I said, the book controversy was in the postseason. It's only week 4, and we already have things popping up from him, and I just don't think it's going to subside. There's just no way it will. Unless they try to address it this week, I just don't know if they ever will.
Sure.
And
Last
I
one.
think that's going to get to him.
Last one I'll throw out there, a quarterback that's struggling through a week and a half. The Bengals could use a wide receiver. I really feel like that could be the piece that pushes them over the top. They could drop 65, 70 a game if they had A.J.
Yeah.
Brown.
If they had a quarterback first.
Nah, that one is a joke. But I do
You'd
think
be
the
better
other
off
3.
trading A.J. Brown and putting him at quarterback.
I'll try and clip those other 3 into TikToks or put them all into one TikTok because I do think that the 3 spots, it makes so much sense. You you push them out of the conference, and then all 3 are in a situation where either they're like the Raiders in win now mode or they're the Patriots and the Titans who are with young developing quarterbacks. That could be very helpful.
Sure.
You want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Baltimore at Kansas City.
The Ravens and the Chiefs faced off in Arrowhead in a spot that I don't think either of them expected to be in Week 4, which was they were 1-2 and really needing a win to not go 1-3 and putting yourself in a very bad early season hole. And it was, are the Ravens going to have a get right game for their defense, or are the Chiefs going to have a get right game for their offense? And the Chiefs got the get right game for their offense and put up 37 on the Ravens' beat-up defense that has not been any good this season. And they win 37-20. Not really that close of a game. Lamar gets hurt early in the fourth, I believe, and doesn't play the rest of the game. And from there, it's just easy sledding. So big win for the Chiefs. They're 2-2. The Ravens are now 1-3, and staring down a couple games without Lamar, while already being 1-3, is not where you want to be. Key points from this game, though, guys?
Yeah, I didn't realize the Lamar Jackson injury was for real until talking about it earlier, because I didn't see it happen, and then the situation, when they panned to him talking about it, he was just chilling on the sideline talking to one of the coaches. Like, he wasn't in the tent, there was no medical staff, he was just on one of the iPads, like watching film and talking, and so it kind of looked to me like the game was lost, and so they just benched him, and then I don't know why they chose to call it an injury, but they did. But then y'all are saying that he could actually miss multiple weeks, so I was mistaken about that. But I mean, yeah, the Ravens defense is really bad. Is the 33.3 like current, or is that going into the game?
I picked it up today, so
that's current. So they were allowing 32 going into the game, and now they're up to 33 in the third. The defense is just so bad, and now they're losing pieces on the defensive line. Like JP said, they were missing 8 of the 11 starters at give different points.
4 coming into the game, then they lost 4 throughout the game.
Yeah.
Which 4 did they lose throughout the game?
Matabuke was one of them. Nate Wiggins was one of them.
Roquan Smith got hurt.
And there was another.
Okay. Does not look good.
I mean, and you do expect to get better as people come back from injury, but a couple of the guys are already out for the year, and the vibes aren't high there at all right now either. Lamar's clearly very frustrated on the sidelines. Marlon Humphrey's trying to put out videos to the fans after losses. It's just in a weird spot overall. My biggest takeaway, though, is I did like what I saw from the Chiefs' offense. Getting Xavier Worthy back, he was the team's leading rusher and receiver, which I know, it's not like anyone for the Chiefs ran for a ton of yards. He just had a big, 35-yard rush. But he alone already kind of helped us see what the Chiefs' offense was supposed to be coming into the season. Mahomes just looked a lot more comfortable. He only ran 4 times, which tells you, I think, a lot more about him being comfortable, and that he didn't feel the need to go do it himself. He could just sit back, hit the slant, to Worthy or Kelsey, maybe pick his time for deep shots, get the RPO going. Just a lot more fluid Chief offense than what we've had through the first 3 weeks, and that's what my biggest takeaway is, and what I really like to see for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Worthy played kind of like a Tyler Lockett. There were a lot of, every time he caught the ball over the middle, he was going down almost instantly, which, is fine.
They probably have told him to do that.
Yeah,
if had to
guess. It's what he needs to.
Correct.
I personally love the way Tyler Lockett. I mean, I like that he does that. It makes so much sense when you're playing a wide receiver, and also Tyler Lockett he did it when he was older. Xavier Worthy's doing it because of his injury, but I see no problem if you've got the yards. Don't put yourself at risk to make it, to get to the 35 instead of the 33. If you've got the first down, there's no need to take a shot to the head or a shot to the ribs. So I haven't seen any Chiefs fans mad at Worthy. There were some Seahawks fans who I saw at times mad at Lockett, but I think it's a really smart thing to do. Love the way he's taking care of his body there.
There's really no reason to be mad at Worthy.
If you're mad at Worthy, the Chiefs fan, you're stupid.
Yeah. Which some of them may be, but who doesn't have stupid fans in their fan base?
The Chargers, because there's only 5 fans.
True.
Wait, you just called me smart.
Congrats.
For me, biggest takeaway is that this was more than a regular season game, and it will just continue to tell the story of Lamar Jackson. He's now 1-6 against Mahomes. There have been 3 games in the past 3 years, where Lamar Jackson has turned the ball over more than once. Those 3 games. The 2023 AFC Championship against the Kansas City Chiefs. The 2024 divisional round game at Buffalo last year in this game this past Sunday. Lamar Jackson is James Harden.
In my head, I had him as in Cars. There's like the montage of the first, like the king, the runner-up, and the rookie. So he's Chick Hicks.
Yes.
And Patrick Mahomes is Strip Weathers.
And Justin Herbert's Lightning McQueen.
No, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen could be. There's not a great. There's not a perfect three-way, but
no,
you
there
know,
definitely isn't because Josh Allen was
Jo-
drafted the
Lamar
year after
Jackson has been
Mahomes.
chasing Patrick Mahomes' tail feathers for
Yeah.
years. As Carl, what was I don't remember the announcer from Cars' name, Daryl, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the comparison that came to mind. James Harden's a good comparison too.
He is James Harden. He again did not statistically outperform Mahomes in a game. It's the first time in 2 years that Mahomes has thrown 4 touchdowns. Week 7 of 2023. So Mahomes got it going against that defense. And we think about the Ravens, and at least in the past 2 years with Derrick Henry, they have been undeniably unstoppable offensively. And they could barely score against the Chiefs this past weekend. And it's not like the Chiefs are great defensively, but it really is just a story of Lamar and this offense in those big moments that they just don't get it done. They're up 7-0. It's 1st and 10. Lamar is pressured immediately, and for whatever reason, he throws up a jump ball to not Mark Andrews, but one of the tight ends, and Leo Chenal makes an absolutely incredible play on the interception. But there was never a reason for Lamar to put the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
They're driving. They're on the Chiefs' side of the field again. They could go up 14-0 immediately. And those are just the kind of things that Lamar does. And then the fumble, again, is another thing. It's just he turns it over in these big spots. He doesn't play his best. Was the injury fake? Who knows? I based on the fact that he may miss this weekend, I would lean no. But the Ravens just have a Chiefs problem, and it doesn't matter when it is. Like, at least for the Bills, they beat the Chiefs in the regular season pretty much every single year, and they will hope to get it done in the postseason. But for Lamar, the Ravens, like, I just don't know if you can ever view them even on the same tier as Buffalo, because they just can't get it done in these big moments. If Justice Hill doesn't have that big rush in the third quarter, it would be 3 straight games where Baltimore rushed for less than 100 yards. As I said last week, 2 in a row was the first time ever in the Lamar Jackson era. So offensively, they again couldn't get anything going for whatever reason. On the Chiefs side, they looked great offensively, but so is pretty much everyone against Baltimore. So we'll see if that's going to be something that continues for them going forward. This coming week, they play at the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. Jaguars are one of the best defenses in the league right now. They have 13 takeaways through 4 games, which is incredible. That's 3 a game. So they looked great, and I think Xavier Worthy getting back in it was awesome. They were kind of running the ball with a little bit more confidence. You could tell Pacheco had picked up a little bit of his step again. I think I'd love to see that be built upon on Monday night before we really kind of crown them as back. I thought, like I said at the opening of this, that it was just more of a game that was outside of a regular season game. It's just the story of Lamar and the Ravens in key spots. This is now you're 1-3. Lamar got hurt. Bunch of your defense is hurt. Your defense is crap anyway. Lamar may not play for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You could be 1-5 bye week and Lamar returns. Your season might be over. It's a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
You can't run the ball. Lamar turns it over for no reason, and you can't stop anyone defensively. It's just it's a huge indictment on the Ravens in a must-win the Super Bowl season. Like, that's the only other way to put it, and they are not up to the task right now.
This is what football does to you, though, in terms of, like, we sat here preseason, we're like, you know, the Ravens probably have the deepest team. Like, I don't really see any huge holes. They turned the defense around second half of last season, and now we're here after 4 weeks, and everything's fallen apart. There's injuries everywhere. They've not performed to standard at all. You got to be on top of your game in football, or it'll humble you really quick. It is. Thank you, Harris. Is Daryl Cartrip is the announcer in Cars. So thank you for that, Harris.
I don't know if I'd call this a must-win the Super Bowl season because I could see them having yes, clearly they want to win the Super Bowl because they have the team to do it right now. But I could see them having like a San Francisco 49ers kind of year. The year they draft, they go to the Super Bowl, and then the next year have a bad year, draft Nick Bosa, and then go to the Super Bowl again. I could see them with the injuries they sustained. They might just have to recognize that Lamar Jackson can't carry this shell of a team to a Super Bowl, and they're gonna lose some games. They're not gonna make the playoffs. They'll draft in the top half of the league. It sucks because that's not really what you expected going into the season. And then next year they'll bounce back and be in the competition for the 1 seed in the AFC. That's why I would push back on calling this a must with the Super Bowl season, because we've seen teams who we expect to be good who return so much just out of nowhere get smashed by the injury bug, and then bounce back. Everyone gets healthy, and then the next year recover and play well.
Yeah, I just think with how it's been for the Ravens over the past couple years, they almost don't get that luxury because they just can. It's not like they just got good this year.
Yeah.
They've been good previously. I sat here preseason and said it's Super Bowl or bust, and so I know there's been injuries, but I think I'm still going to hold them to that standard because Lamar's becoming James Harden. Is a good way to put it.
It's not like the team is bad. Like you said just a second ago, we talked about how it felt like there were no holes, and with the improvements they made on defense, Derrick Henry's not getting any younger. They had Zay Flowers is healthy, returning. Mark Andrews. The only question offensively that they didn't really have was Isaiah Likely to begin the season.
Yeah.
But defensively, they had Matabuke, Kyle Van Noy, who was one of their leading sack getter last year. Roquan Smith is one of the best middle linebackers in football. Kyle Hamilton is one of the best football players in football. For me, I don't care about the injuries
because also the defense was bad before the injuries started piling up. So
100%. And we talked about how, or at least everyone felt they nailed the draft too, getting Mike Green and getting Malachi Starks. But that clearly hasn't really helped them enough right now. They're only rookies. You don't expect them to. But as rookies on top of a defense that improved a ton, they don't deserve this luxury because they're part of that tier that doesn't get this luxury of injuries. Okay, who cares? Yeah. No, literally, who cares? The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen has a whole gang of receivers. His defense is just a whole gang of players. There's really just Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, and Greg Rousseau. Outside of that, it's Cole Bishop who's playing out, and DeMar Hamlin are playing meaningful snaps for them, and they go out there and win and win and win. The Chiefs with the same thing. The Chiefs over a couple of years have been like Juju Smith-Schuster and Sky Moore and
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
MVS. Like that's been their receiving core. Like none of the Chiefs and Bills don't have Derrick Henry. The Chiefs and Bills don't have Kyle Hamilton on the other side. Like the Chiefs have Chris Jones, but that's about it. I just don't think the Ravens get this luxury. I don't mind that comparison, but if they miss the playoffs this year, something has to change.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be John Harbaugh because, why would you get rid of Lamar Jackson? But something has to change because you can't come – how are you going to come back into next year and say, okay, well, if we're just healthy, we'll be fine? Well, if you look at the past half decade, you've made one AFC championship game with arguably the best player in football in Lamar Jackson, a multi-time MVP. Something has to change because nothing has changed over those 5 years. You've just added on better and better pieces.
There's also the thing of taking it, looking at it from further out. Just you can't use injuries as an excuse really for anyone in football because it's just part of football. Just people get injured. I get the Ravens have had a ton of injuries already this season. But so are so many teams across the league. The Chargers are struggling to have an offensive line. The Commanders are missing QB1 and wide receiver 1 and running back 1 already tore his Achilles for the year. The San Francisco 49ers barely have a team currently. It's just how it goes. So it's something I it's very easy to use an excuse in football, but I try to not, because it's just you have to prepare for injuries going into every season and have the next man up mentality and find ways to still win games.
Sanders, are you scared that the Chiefs are now the front runners to win the AFC West after this weekend?
Yeah, a little bit.
They're only a game back all of a sudden after being 2 games back.
Yeah, after the way the offensive line looks for the Chargers, yeah, I'm pretty nervous about that. I don't know when we play them again, but I mean, ideally, we've got Joe Alt back by then.
It's
so
probably later in the season.
It
if I had to
is.
guess.
It will be
the
in Kansas City.
4th to last game.
That's
Sure.
big.
I'm not looking forward to our game this upcoming week, by the way.
Yeah, it's just gonna be ugly. A gross
Hopefully Jaden
matchup
Daniels is
between
fine.
the Chargers and the Chargers and the Commanders. But yeah, no, I am nervous. I think one of the benefits or one of the advantages we do have is is that in the race to win the division, at worst, we'll split the series with them, and then we get to play a third place schedule, and they're still playing a first place schedule.
Yeah, they still have to play the Lions
Yep.
and the Bills, the Broncos twice, of course, the Texans.
Yeah.
They've got
Meanwhile,
the
we're
Colts are on
playing
there.
the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, Texans. So I do think that we have an advantage there.
Yeah, and you'll still
Um,
have a game lead on them. So.
Right. We still do have the game lead.
But I get
But
big
the
nervous.
offensive line injuries are pretty scary. I mean, we lost the Giants. And I will say that we have the same argument that the Chiefs had when they lost to us. That, like, when you go into a game and a key player goes down mid-game and you didn't get a chance to game plan around that, it hurts. It's really hard to bounce back from that. So losing Alt mid-game, hopefully we get to bounce back, game plan around him. I don't know how.
Run the ball more. That's what I would
yeah,
say.
but then
Gotta be.
it is run the ball more, but then you're still running into an offensive line that's like 3 backups, which is, I mean, it's better than trying to pass block.
Hampton ran pretty well against the Giants.
He did run
and
well against the Giants.
The group did not pass block very well.
So, yeah, we play Commanders this weekend, and then
the
we get
Commanders'
to go
defense is terrible.
to the
so
Dolphins.
It
I'm
shouldn't matter.
really hoping that we can be 5-1. Sorry, 5-1 in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Hampton maybe could run for 200 yards next week.
Man, I wish I had him in fantasy, but no, I am nervous. I'm glad that I haven't started doing my celebration yet about being right about the Chiefs, regressing. But
Never count Mahomes out.
yeah,
Little side note, I enjoyed your brother's reaction in our group chat about should have taken Hampton and instead of Aston Genty, and then immediately Aston Genty's like,
goes off.
hold my beer. And
3
yeah,
touchdowns,
scores
like
3
200
touchdowns,
yards.
And he was like, never mind, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cracking me up.
Anything else on this game before we move on to our last one?
No, nothing on this game.
Sure.
I was getting crap this week because I have Ashton Genty in my rivalry game, and he was saying, "Oh, Ashton Genty finally put up a legacy week. He'll never do that." And I was like, "Well, brother, he was a first-round pick in a lot of mock drafts and fantasy for a reason. It's not like he's
Yeah.
terrible."
Yeah.
You just had to let him get hit like 0.2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage instead of 0.4 behind the line of scrimmage.
Finally
and he
has
could.
more yards than yards after contact.
So, Check the Mic with Sam Montes and
Yeah.
Steve Palazzolo, my podcast I listen to every week. They do a segment called the Shouty Show segment, which is where they will listen or watch live like a 30 or 45-second clip from a Shouty Show. So it'll be like Get Up, or it'll be something from Stephen A. Smith, or what other Cowboys fan who always burns up a jersey?
Skip Bayless?
Yeah, Skip Bayless. Like they like watch segments and then react to that. It's so funny. But they reacted to a segment where there was a guy saying that Ashton Genty didn't have the it factor.
Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark.
He's
Ryan
had
Clark.
a banner a couple weeks.
Yeah, saying Ashton Genty didn't have the it factor. And they were like, you do realize that Derrick Henry wasn't good until a year and a half into his career. So that was pretty funny. And it was perfect timing that was the week that Ashton Genty decides to go off. So
And Genty's been great. He's just
yeah.
statistically not been.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, he has done more than probably any running back besides Derrick Henry could have done with that O-line.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is the only running back I would trust to be able to power through that contact by the line of scrimmage and still get positive yardage, which Genty is doing. So, yeah, Genty's been awesome. The broken tackle for the touchdown down that left sideline, I was like, that's Boise State Ashton Genty. That's Boise State Ashton Genty. That was really cool to watch.
Yeah.
Because he looked like he was going to get tackled, and then you were like, oh, no, this is why he was a first-round pick, because he's one guy with a little, like, shoestring attempt is not going to bring him down.
Yeah, contact balance was his best trait.
Yep.
Sure.
And he's shown that
Yeah,
through 4
that's-
weeks.
That was the first week where we got to see him in the open field
Yeah.
and actually, like, break a tackle that isn't 3 linemen just wrapping him up.
Yes.
So I loved seeing Ashton Denty break out. It does make me, I still pick the Raiders to be bad. If they trade for A.J. Brown, maybe I can change my picks.
Sorry, you should have been a seer and known that preseason
Yeah,
making your picks. They were
That's
going to
on
make
me.
that move.
I really should have seen wide receiver 1 on the Super Bowl champion starting undefeated and then requesting a trade. That's poor seership by me.
Come on, you got to lock in.
Do we want to move on to
Yeah,
our last
let's
game?
move on to the Sunday Night Football game. The Packers were at the Cowboys for Sunday Night Football. It was the Micah Parsons homecoming game. And this game kind of helps ask the question of, like, why do good things happen to bad people? How does Jerry Jones not get blown out in this game? Because it's a tie, and that also makes it even worse. Like, no one wins. 40-40 ends up being the final score after the Packers kick a field goal with 1 second left in overtime to secure the tie, which they did not deserve to get off. I will say they mismanaged that, like, final sequence so horribly. But they do get it off, and it's a tie game. Instant reactions to this game, key points to this game.
JP, maybe we can get to this later. I don't know what they would have done differently because it was 3rd down, right?
No, it was when Love.
They get it 3rd down with like 18 seconds left, and they can't spike it. Well, they can spike it, but if you spike it, then you have to kick the field goal. But if you don't spike it, like, I don't really know what they're supposed to do here.
My problem is what happened on 2nd and 13.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2nd and 13, the clock is stopped on a timeout, and it's just a short pass attempt.
How much time is left?
28 seconds. It's
Okay.
a short pass attempt to Emmanuel Wilson.
Over the middle?
No, like literally almost like a check down.
Okay.
2 yards in the air, give or take to the right. In that moment, 28 seconds, 2nd down, that is 2 guaranteed shots at the end zone. You take 2 shots at the end zone, because those can even be shots with 28 seconds that your guy scrambles around for a couple seconds and then throws it. Like, it doesn't have to be immediate. Why are you checking it down there? And then on top of that, why are we not talking, like, it's just like it's poor coaching, and it's also poor on Jordan Love that in the huddle, as we're calling that play, we have to reiterate. Like, it should already be known, but we have to reiterate. If we are tackled in bounds, we got to hurry up. We got to go because the clock is running. We're going to have 17 seconds whenever that ball is completed. We got to go. We got to get on the ball. We got to be to our second play. Ideally, you've called a second play. So if, like, the goal in the first play was you were on the 15 to complete, like, a 10-yard pass, and then we run a play from the 5. Like, that's the kind of thing that has to be set. But for whatever reason, we check it down to Emmanuel Wilson. We're not in any rush. We don't have a second play called. He has to signal in his own play. He also signals to huddle up by doing this. That means huddle typically for an NFL quarterback. So he's like calling for them to huddle up. I guess he thought they had a timeout or something. In all of this time, Matt LaFleur can talk to Jordan Love because it's above 15 seconds on the play clock. Once you're under 40 seconds, he can talk the entire time because once you're above, 25 or below 25 seconds, because 40 to 15 is 25 seconds. That whole 25 seconds he can talk in a normal play. If you're below 25 seconds, which you were, Matt LaFleur can talk to Jordan Love the whole time.
Can he talk to him after the ball's been snapped?
Not after the ball's
Okay,
been
cool.
snapped. But he can talk to him
That'd
the
be
entire
crazy.
time. Yeah, he
He's
can.
wide open down the left side, Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan, run!
That would be cool, but no, he can't do that. So, like, where's the miscommunication there? Like, why does he think that we're supposed to huddle up? He should be telling Jordan Love that we got to go. And, like, he's giving him a play call. And then, like, Love holds on to the ball, waits way too late. If the play clock operator does what he's supposed to, which is it's a Cowboys staffer that controls the clock.
They could so easily just won the game.
They could have just let the second go off.
They would have reviewed it and put it back on.
The rule is if the ball's like he's lucky that he threw it over the middle. because if a ball goes out of bounds, it's whenever the ball hits the ground
Yeah.
or hits something that's out of bounds. That's when it's incomplete. It hits the Cowboys defender who's out of bounds. That's what ends up stopping the clock, and is the only reason there's 1 second on it. So I agreed with Jack. Like it was completely poorly mismanaged from a coaching perspective, from a quarterback perspective, and in terms of the game, it felt like it was what is going on with the way the end of the first half was managed, where you were being aggressive. Jordan Love turns the ball over. Cowboys score a touchdown immediately off that with 15 seconds left on the clock. Then, in overtime, you're not playing aggressive enough. You're essentially almost like it felt like they were just trying to go for a field goal the whole time. There was no aggressiveness against a defense that you had been tearing apart the entire game, and so both of those confused me a ton. That being said, the takeaway can also be like the Packers defense kind of failed them. Micah, I know, feels that way. He felt that way in the post-game press conference, saying to Jordan, like, hey, thank you. Like, this one's on us. They're lucky that Jordan Love cooked, essentially is what he was saying, to keep them from not losing this game. Another takeaway could be the Cowboys' offense is just dynamic.
Yeah.
For me, my biggest takeaway from the game is if Dak gets this team to the playoffs, he should win the MVP, especially if he continues to put up the numbers that he does and has been. Through the first 3 games, he statistically, technically hadn't had an excellent game. This one he was, but on eye test-wise, through 4 games, he's been unbelievable. He's made every throw that's been required of him. He's escaped. He's created plays. If Micah isn't one of the best athletes on the planet, he wins that game on Sunday night, where Micah gets the sack for a 0-yard game. Dak would have walked into the end zone, and the Cowboys win the game. But unfortunately, they have to kick a field goal, and it's tied, and you go to overtime. But that, for me, is the biggest takeaway, is Dak was phenomenal with George Pickens and Jake Ferguson, and they used all their weapons, too. Javonte Williams, Kamante Turpin, Flannery. No, I misspoke on that one. Damn it.
Flournoy?
Something like that. It's a different pronunciation of that. They even used him in the game. Obviously, Kamante Turpin had one of the, or not Kamante Turpin, Jalen Tolbert had one of the biggest catches of the game.
Yeah.
Dak was phenomenal. That's my biggest takeaway. That's why I'm wearing a Dak shirt with the Dak jersey behind me, because that dude's the GOAT.
For how tumultuous and in the spotlight Dallas always is, Dak is pretty great at just going out there and playing ball no matter what. And so you really got to respect him for that. But he was fantastic Sunday night. It really did, though. I just feel like a weird Packers game. I don't like, how do you not win that game, I guess, because also you not only are you the better team, in my opinion, the Packers, that is, but you get up big, and then you have the whole, your extra point gets blocked in return from 2. But just like, how do you not win that game? How does the defense give up under 40 to the Cowboys? I get that is still the strength of the Cowboys team, but this defense for the Packers is supposed to be one of the best in the league, and you just can't get it done. The quarterback play was very poor all night.
Atrocious.
I think what part of it was, the Cowboys' ability to protect Dak was surprising. The Packers had the 1 sack, like you said, where Parsons chases Dak out to the left and trips him up. It was they have 1 sack for 0 yards on the night.
Yeah.
And so that's not what I was expecting. I don't know if that's what y'all were expecting. I was kind of expecting Micah Parsons, and I always forget his name. It's the Michigan guy on the other side.
Rashawn Gary.
Thank you, Rashawn Gary, to kind of chew them up and get a lot of pressure on Dak, but they didn't. So that, I think, is part of it, is maybe an unexpectedly underwhelming performance from the D-line as far as like pressure to the quarterback goes. So that's kind of one thing that might have helped the Packers or the Cowboys out and kept them in this game. But yeah, I think that the Dak wheeling and dealing was a huge part of it. And then the run game, both running backs have decent games. 85 yards from Williams, 86 and 2 touchdowns from Josh Jacobs. The only reason the Packers were in it is because the Cowboys could not cover Romeo Doubs, whichever one. I think it's Dubs.
The Dubs has a game every year where he's like it's a multi-touchdown game.
Yeah.
It's just once a year it's the Romeo Dubs game for the Packers in that crowded room. On the flip side, we got one of the Trevon Diggs is a good cornerback games. He gave up one catch for -3 yards.
Did Bland play?
He did play.
Yeah.
Okay, Bland he got beat on one. He tried to jump it and gets beat and falls, and the safety comes over and saves either a touchdown or a first down.
Yes.
He saved something. I remember that. That was late in the game. But yeah, Diggs had a good game.
Yeah, this is your, and then the next 3 games will be terrible, but he'll hang his hat on the one really good game he had, and
Yeah.
you know, he's a good corner because of it. But he was very good. They try to get Golden more involved or something. I wanted to see he end up with 6 targets, and they gave him some scheme touches, 2 little screens and stuff like that. And then he catches the deep ball, which honestly I don't think was for him. I think that was for Dontavian Wicks, and he just comes over and catches it. But he was fine. It's just it's such a weird game, man. I really can't, like, I don't know why I don't feel great about the Packers offense, but yet they scored 40.
I think in part because they're playing a Cowboys defense that's been scored a lot on.
Fair.
And so I don't think you can walk away and be like, you dropped 37 on the Cowboys. Like, you got a good offense. It might just be the Cowboys have a bad defense. They were 27th. I mean, yeah, they give up 31 a game. They were giving up 31 a game coming into the season. So that's up to probably 33 now. So it's not, I mean, you know, good for the Packers for capitalizing on it, but it was definitely there for the taking as far as offensively goes. And then defensively, yeah, giving up 40 to the Cowboys. I mean, you said earlier, JP, are you serious? Do you think that the Cowboys have the best offense in the NFL? Or was that like just kind of off the cuff?
No, I genuinely think that right now. They've shown that through 4 weeks. They've been able to run the ball better than we think.
Yeah.
And, outside of the Bears game, they've been terrific offensively through the 4 games. Buffalo is right up there. But I'd give the upper hand to Dallas right now, just from an offense perspective. They've done it against good defenses too, and hostile environments. Open the season with Philly, you score on your first 5 drives. This game against the Packers, which the Packers have been shut down defensively through 3 weeks, making quarterbacks look silly, having people praying for the quarterback as they play. That pass rush and Micah Parsons, and Dak just kind of got whatever he wanted. And I think they are the best offense in the league right now.
Biggest play of the night, the blocked extra point, 2-point conversion.
Absolutely.
Watching it when it happened, it was for the Packers to go up 14-0, I think, and instead they go up 13-2.
Yep.
And the way the Packers have been playing, I was kind of like, well, I don't know how much this is going to matter. Turns out it matters a lot. It's what allows the game to go to overtime. It's what allows the Cowboys to walk out of there with a tie instead of a loss.
There's kind of an energy flip post that moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And was that the game where they had the fumble, right, going into halftime? Packers get the ball. They kind of just run it. They're trying to just run the clock out. They're not going anywhere. And the Cowboys forced a fumble. Who fumbled? Was it Josh Jacobs? Did he have it?
No, Jordan Love fumbled it.
Strip sack. Okay.
He was strip sacked by James Houston.
Yes.
And he recovered his own strip sack. They scored a touchdown immediately off that from George Pickens.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, the blocked extra point into a 2-point conversion was huge. The Cowboys, they 3-and-outed right off of that, but they were able to essentially get a 5-and-out out of the Packers the next drive, and then there was touchdown. Jordan Love fumble, touchdown. Cowboys lead 16-13 going into halftime.
And it was like, how are we here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they scored they scored one touchdown with like 30. Wait, where did the first touchdown came and
the
there
first
were
touchdown was
41 seconds left on the clock,
yeah.
and then they scored the second one with 4 seconds left on the clock.
Yep.
So that they scored 2 touchdowns in 37 seconds to go from 13-2 to winning into halftime. I feel like you said, that's a huge momentum swing. Go ahead.
I think that's why I really don't feel happy at all with this Packers offensive performance, despite putting up 40 points. It's because of the horrible execution in overtime, the terrible execution right before halftime to let the Cowboys take the lead into half. Like, just kind of the little things and big moments, and they just didn't execute. And I think that's why I feel icky about their performance.
Yeah, 100% agreed. They were honestly terrific outside of that.
Yeah.
Post this, like the start of the second half, they scored 3 straight touchdown drives. All of them extended drives. Took 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, almost double-digit plays on all of them. And then the same goes for their field goal drives to end the first half and in the overtime. But just the way great teams execute at the end of the half. Last week on Sunday Night Football, Chiefs-Giants. Russell Wilson has the ball. The Giants are up 6. They're not up 6-0. I think it was, 9-3, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. I don't remember exactly, but
Russell throws a deep ball to Malik Neighbors that Malik has no chance on. Chiefs pick it off. Mahomes drives down the field, kicks a field goal, 6-point swing to end the half. Packers here, it could have been a 14-point swing. More than likely, it would have been, if they had gotten anything, a 10-point swing. But it's a 7-point true swing, and it's a massive swing in momentum. They were immediately going from up 13-9 into the half to down 13-16. So those kind of stuff can't happen going forward.
Sure.
I will say I think this is a one-off defensive effort just because the Cowboys' offense is clearly that good, at least at this point in the season. And so I expect them to pick it back up defensively going forward.
It may honestly be an ideal wake-up call, kind of.
Sure.
Of like, oh, everyone's singing our praises, and yeah, we are good, but we're not infallible.
Yeah, I think my only pushback on that is last week should have been the wake-up call.
Sure.
Losing to the Browns. You walked into that Browns game with people in the locker room saying, oh, we're looking at going undefeated this year. And then you immediately lose your next game, and now you're 2-1-1 when you very well should be 4-0. And meanwhile, the teams that are executing in the Buccaneers and the Eagles are 4-0 and 3-1. The Lions got up to
3-1.
got up to 3-1 this
beating
weekend
the
as
Browns that you just lost to.
So it's the wake-up call should have been last week.
Sure, but the
I will
defense
say-
played well
Week
week 3.
Last week was the offensive wake-up call because you score 10, but the defense holds the Browns to 13. You lose. This week, the offense shows up after their wake-up call. They score 37 in regulation. Now the defense gets a wake-up call, and now you go undefeated for the rest of the season.
But
how
also,
it's
you're an
gonna be.
NFL team. You just shouldn't need wake-up calls. This
True.
is like
But it's now back-to-back weeks of Jordan Love costing them wins.
Yeah.
Last week against the Browns, it was throwing a pick when you're up 10-3 with just above the 2-minute warning. And in this game, it's the strip sack to end the first half, and then he cost them a win by poorly managing the clock in overtime. That's back-to-back weeks of that. That can't be a continuing story for them going forward because he's the difference. He's the key piece to them winning the Super Bowl this year because they have all the talent across. Can he go out there and do it? And that's kind of been that's the truth of the NFL. That's this version of the NFL. The quarterback at the end of the day has to play terrific in the playoffs to get to the promised land, to win the Super Bowl. That's completely the truth. It doesn't matter how you've been playing the entire season. It just matters how you play in the postseason. So Love needs to pick it up and play better because he is the key to them maximizing a terrific chance they have in this year.
agreed. All right, anything else on this game, or are we off to the pyramid?
Do you guys think Jerry Jones won the trade?
No.
Oh, I was going to make a joke about that because James Houston?
Yeah.
Justin Houston's a former Chief.
Yes.
James Houston has like a good night. He gets a sack or the forced fumble. So has Jerry said anything? Have we had like we just knew we knew what we had in James Houston when we traded
So he said a couple things. One of the things was saying that that is why that game is why Dak is inexpendable. Because he is that good that he'll carry you in a game you shouldn't win. And that's why you pay a guy like Dak.
Okay.
Making a slide at Micah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing he was saying, I think it was today, he was saying he was asked about George Pickens. And he was saying, "Yeah, I think we'll really look forward to potentially keeping George Pickens because now we have the salary cap.
Yeah.
We have the money to be able to do that. And, a couple months ago, we didn't feel like we had that opportunity. So, again, another slight at Micah. I think Jerry obviously thinks he's won the trade.
He'll probably think he won the trade till the day he dies.
Yeah,
Only
I don't
time
think he
will
did.
tell. If the Cowboys land Arch Manning and Arch becomes the third Manning to win a Super Bowl, then the Cowboys won the trade. If the Packers were to win a Super Bowl this year, maybe the Packers won the trade. I think only time will tell on it.
Agree.
But at this point, I know Jerry feels like he's won the trade. He's clearly felt that way, and he's expressed it that way. And at this point, I think he has lost the trade.
Yeah,
Because I'm pissed for Dak Prescott because he would win the MVP this year if they had Micah because they would make the playoffs for sure. They're 1-2-1. Nothing is guaranteed right now. But we're wasting an unbelievable year from Dak where he's going
not
to have
the first time they've done that either.
unbelievable offense. And, yes, maybe they'll get to the postseason and pull a Cowboys again. But I wish Dak would get another chance at potentially carrying them to the NFC Championship game or something because he deserves that, and he, at least at this point in the season, is playing. I think he's obviously top 2 quarterback in the NFC, and a potentially like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. That's just how good he's playing.
Who's the quarterback above him? Like Baker?
Him and Baker right now would be my 2. Baker's been incredible, leading his team to wins, just more wins right now. But I'd say it's between them 2 in the NFC.
Yeah,
And
I'd
then
agree.
in the NFL, he could be top 5 because of that as well.
Josh Allen.
Allen, Mahomes, I think Lamar is playing good enough to earn that. He had the one poor game against the Chiefs, but he hasn't been poor outside of that. And then, Baker and Dak. Herbert's been great, but Herbert's throwing picks again. So
Yeah.
Sure. As soon as Adam Schefter tweeted that he hadn't thrown a pick in 9 straight road games, I
It
was
was-
like,
it was so
it's over. All right, let's get to the pyramid here.
The Pucylowski pyramid.
The
JP, you want to
Pucylowski
start
power
with your
pyramid.
teams? Do we want to add a team to the graveyard? Is it that time?
no, we're not there yet to the graveyard, but I
That's
think
crazy.
I can go ahead and say we're on graveyard watch for a couple teams.
Okay.
If the Jets had beat the Dolphins, would the Dolphins be in the graveyard right now?
No,
Okay.
but the Jets are on graveyard watch this weekend, and the Tennessee Titans are on graveyard watch as well this weekend, and they very well should be in the graveyard with Brian Callahan as their head coach. But if they were to lose this week and be 0-5, I think we're going to take them off the teams left off tier, and they're dead at that point. Cowboys go to New York to play the Jets, and the Titans are on the road in Arizona. So those are the 2 teams on graveyard watch. The Dolphins and Panthers both have wins, and ironically, they play each other this week. That's just going to be another game of, man, it sucks that someone has to win this game.
Sure.
That someone gets to win this game, because that's how it was on Monday night with the Jets and Dolphins. Neither of those teams deserve to have a win that evening. Maybe the Dolphins to a slight degree, but I don't feel that way. But the Jets and the Panthers are off the tiers with their losses this weekend, and they just looked without a pulse. Panthers seems like their win is just being chalked up to you got to play the Falcons on their what the hell is going on game.
Yeah.
And the Jets, oh my gosh, the Aaron Glenn pans were terrible. Just kind of no emotion on that face, a lot of distraught, and clearly he's upset with what happened in the locker room post game.
100%.
But those are the teams left off. Because of that, 2 teams have rejoined.
Welcome back to the pyramid.
Tier 7. Welcome back to the pyramid. Who dat? The New Orleans Saints. They covered the spread versus the Bills, a spread that was as high as 16.5 at one point. I think it closed at 13.5. touchdown was taken off the board that would have given them the lead. And then also Olave threw a pick on the Philly special on the 4-yard line. You missed a 2-point conversion, too. This is just a team that doesn't know how to win yet, but I don't think it's a bad team. They just don't know how to win yet. They've shown that through 4 games. The blowout in Seattle was terrible, but in all 3 games, they've had the ball with the chance to go take the lead or tie the game in the fourth quarter, and they just haven't done it in any of those scenarios. So they once they win, maybe they'll start figuring out how to win, and they can become a successful team. But for right now,
Just do that next season.
yeah, I want it next season. My comp is the Detroit Lions, who were defeated with Jared Goff and Dan Campbell at one point. And then they figured out how way to win at the end of that season. The next year they come in, they don't make the playoffs, but they beat Aaron Rodgers in his final game at Lambeau Field. They go 9-8, miss the playoffs because Geno Smith is better than them. The following year, they win the NFC North. They're in the NFC Championship game with a 21-point lead, and they choke. But I hope that didn't happen for the Saints. But that would be my comp right now. It feels like maybe that's a team. This is a team that could go down that trajectory. That's also copium.
Yeah, about to say
And
very
be-
much copium.
And very hopeful for my franchise. But look out for that. Let me throw that
Okay.
take out there right now.
I'll allow it.
It's very much given that our preseason segment on the Saints was you talking about how this team was too good to lose games, and now they are 0-4.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I should have called you out for the copium then instead of being the guy out of the 3 of us to pick them to win the most games. I let you talk me into that. And you kinda,
How did that happen, by the way?
because JP was like literally hyping up the Saints that this team is too good to lose games.
But
we
you-
got
you-
guys here. All
you
we don't.
got to
the only
recognize
thing
that
we're
off
missing-
rip, man.
The only thing we're missing is quarterback,
he's
and I
gassing
let
up
him
his own
talk me.
team.
I let him talk me into it, and I picked him to win like 9 games.
You got to be
and
stronger.
He did too. And then he went back and changed him to like 6 or 7 wins.
I saw the preseason.
Yeah.
And it was
He went
bad.
back and changed it, and I kind of missed that. And so then we finalized our picks, and I look over, and I'm like sitting there having them make the playoffs, and JP's like, "Yeah, I've got to win like 5 games," and I'm like, "Whoa, how did I get left out here to dry?" All that to say, now I know that you are smoking the copium. So
yeah, it's just you can't hate on me for.
no, I'm not gonna
I
hate.
will not
I'll
hate
hate
for
on you.
fandom.
I'll hate on you for leaving me out to dry and have them making the playoffs or
Yeah.
something. But I'm not gonna
I
hate on
should
you.
have watched the preseason that I watched. It was
Yeah, that's
bad.
fair. That's fair. Continue.
The Giants are back on the pyramid as well. Dart got his first win against one of the best teams in the league, and losing Neighbors is going to hurt them a ton. Like I said earlier, it clearly has already shown that from a Vegas perspective. You just beat the Chargers. You're now on the road playing in New Orleans, and the spread did not move from the 1 o'clock hour on Sunday and to post the entire NFL weekend. So it's just unfortunate for the Neighbors loss. They probably might have moved higher with Malik Neighbors from a power rating perspective for me, but they are back on the tiers, or on the pyramid, I should say. They're on tier 7. And we welcome them back. Jackson Dart, congratulations on your first win. I don't see a lot more wins coming down the road because that offense was not great.
Who you got this
albeit-
weekend in New Orleans?
I think the Saints is going to potentially
They're
be one
too good.
see, they can't be one of my best bets because we've already said that's not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
But that would be one of my best bets.
Sure.
Then plus 1.5. I think they easily win this
Okay.
weekend against the Giants, unfortunately. But beating Jackson Dart will feel good, at least, I guess.
Yeah.
The Bengals stay where they are. Jake Browning has played 10.5 quarters of football. He has 5 interceptions. The Bengals' defense has also been piss poor. They rank 6th in the most points per game allowed, 3rd in the most yards per game allowed, and have a bottom 5 pressure rate with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson. They had 9 straight punts on Monday and only 9 first downs
When you say 6th and 3rd, you mean 6th and 3rd from the bottom, right?
from the bottom.
Okay, cool. Not like 6. Okay, cool.
The Texans have to drop to tier 7. Their defense is still number 1 in points per game, 5th in yards per game, 7th in sacks per game. But their offense is the 4th worst in points per game, the 8th worst in yards per game. Their offense is 29% on 3rd down and are scoring a touchdown 1 out of every 3 trips to the red zone. It was 6-0 against the Titans.
At least the number went up, because for a while it was 0% through like 2.5 weeks.
Also true. Yeah, it was 6-0 against the Titans on Sunday. In the fourth quarter, C.J. Stroud kind of got something going, so maybe something changes going forward. But
It was against the Titans, so
they play at Baltimore with Cooper Rush likely starting. They are in a must-win situation. They better beat the Ravens this weekend. The Raiders also have to drop. Geno Smith has been sacked 12 times. He's thrown 7 picks. That leads the league. And Genty, although has finally more yards than yards after contact, but they have to drop in the loss to Chicago. The Patriots are now in a 3 running back system. Last week I asked for Travion Henderson to have more touches. I'm not going to take much from this weekend, though. They played an awful Panthers team. Sunday night, I think, really tells the story of if this is a playoff team this year, like I predicted them to be, or if they're just going to be a team that's drafting in the top 10 again. They play at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football this weekend. Drake May versus Josh Allen.
Yep.
The Cleveland Browns stay where they are. Still the number 1 defense in terms of yards per game. I wrote this before Dylan Gabriel was starting, and I was asking, why are we not starting another quarterback yet? Flacco had a 2-6 touchdown to interception ratio through 4 weeks, which is worse than Geno Smith's, I will add. But Dylan Gabriel is now the starter at quarterback, so maybe things change for the Cleveland Browns this coming weekend, although I don't expect it. They play in London against the Vikings Sunday at 8:30 Central.
Nice.
Tier 6. Jack, I'm sorry, but the Commanders have dropped to Tier 6. The defense couldn't get a stop in the second half, and a tough, close loss. But my question to you is, are we sure it's going to be all chillin' when Jaden Daniels returns? He scored 21 and 18 points in his 2 games, and they play the Chargers this Sunday. Is it going to be chillin' when Jaden Daniels returns?
No, because Marcus Mariota actually played quite well in
Yeah.
his 2 starts. The defense is just the issue. It wasn't even a great defense last year, but they played with more conviction and more sound in terms of like not just making easy mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we're not a talented defense, and we're also just not doing the little things right. We're not gap sound. We're committing stupid penalties. Marshawn Lattimore is cheeks. Should have just drafted Christian
Fleeced.
Gonzalez
Yeah.
over Emmanuel Forbes a couple of years back. But I've said on the show many times, we don't have the talent, and I just don't think this defense is ever going to turn around and be good. It should get better.
I'd say it's too old to expect them to like turn around and improve, right?
Well, correct, because there's just not much young talent on the team because of the bad drafting we did under Riverboat Ron. But I do think there's some optimism that we can play a little more sound and stop being just downright stupid on that side of the ball.
Yeah, agreed. But unfortunately, they have to drop to Tier 6. They will
Valid.
very well make a jump up if they're to beat the Chargers this weekend. The Cardinals stay where they're at. I'm going to go negative first. This is the Atlanta Falcons of the West. The Atlanta Falcons west of the Mississippi. They, like I said last week, just invent ways to lose games. Chad Ryland had put the ball on all of his kickoffs on Thursday night on essentially the 3-yard line in the landing zone, forcing the returner to return it out, because if it bounces in the landing zone, goes into the end zone, the ball's on the 20-yard line. If he returns it to like the 24. They, apparently coaching-wise, told him to try and kick it just barely into the landing zone at like the 19. It lands at like the 20.5-yard line. The ball comes all the way out to the 35. Darnold, the rest is history. Smelling salts, Jason Myers comes out, makes the field goal after missing the 55-yarder earlier. They just invent ways to lose games. The good thing, though, is they're in these games. 2 divisional games against the 49ers and Seahawks, who are both 3-1 football teams, and they're right there in these games. So if you can just figure out a way to close them out, Marvin Harrison got some confidence this Thursday.
Finally,
this is a
he
team.
had an atrocious. I mean, you say he got the confidence. Don't forget, let's not forget the first half he had more drops.
Mm-hmm.
He literally handed a ball, a little slant route, and instead of catching it, he just 6-7s it right into a DB's
Essentially,
hands. It was an atrocious first half. I tweeted, I was like, he's gonna get traded. He's not gonna be an Arizona Cardinal next year. Like, him and Kyler Murray do not work. And then the second half happens, and they play well together. But I don't think, in the same way that, as a Chargers fan, watching Quentin Johnston through the first week, I was like, it doesn't matter. We've seen too much of bad play from him to think that 1 week fixes it. Through week 2, the exact same thing. As a Cardinals fan, and, looking back on that game, you can't be like, well, we've had a year, 3 weeks and a half of bad play. But he played good for a half, so we're good now.
Yeah. I agreed.
Yeah.
And I hope to see some better things going forward.
I also want to see better things.
Who doesn't?
It's going to be, there's still so much up in the air about him and that Cardinals offense.
Cardinals stay on Tier 6. Tier 5, the 49ers, for me, they have to drop. They turned the ball over 4 times. Just an inexcusable loss to Liam Cohen and the Jaguars, who have to travel all the way across the country to play you. They gave up 17 points off those turnovers. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings may not play on Thursday, so this team might be staring down the barrel of 3-2. I am starting to question if would you not just want to start Mac Jones going forward? But unfortunately, money exists, and you've paid so much money to Brock Purdy that I think you're going to unfortunately have to start him. He, again, has great numbers. This was like it was last year, but then he has mind-boggling plays in the second half in key moments, and he's failing his team because of that. So the 49ers have to drop. The Vikings stay where they're at. Wentz was cooking again, just terribly timed interceptions on Sunday morning. He had picks on the 11th and 10th play of drives.
Yeah.
So these, again, like I've said a few times, extended drives, turnover. That is so demoralizing, and it really cost them against the Steelers. Both of them were in opponent's territory, too, so the Vikings had points on the board. He kind of turns it over and gives it away. But the Vikings stay where they're at. They, of course, will play Dylan Gabriel this weekend in London this time instead of Dublin, Ireland. The Falcons stay where they're at. Through 4 weeks, they've continued to just do Falcons things. This is another Falcons classic. Dominant full-team performance. Everybody's cooking. High confidence in Penix. Bijan Robinson's running everywhere. Defense is flying around the field. So my question to y'all is, what's in store next? You guys think we're getting a heartbreak, last-second defeat, or a Carolina Panthers what the hell is going on game?
Next week, who do they play?
Next week they will play.
They're on a bye, actually.
Yes, they're on a
so
bye.
They get a reprieve.
I don't know. They might lose.
They might lose to the
They
bye.
might lose the bye.
At bye is a tough game to play.
Week 6, they'll return and play on Monday Night Football, a game I'll be at with the Buffalo Bills coming to town.
I think it's going to be a heartbreaking loss then against the Bills.
I agree. I would
Heartbreaking
love to see
loss or just like butt whooping?
Heartbreaking loss.
Okay.
that. I think so, too.
I think a heartbreaking loss or a even more like shocking win somehow
Yeah.
to build hopes even higher, and then the heartbreaking loss comes next week because they have some quality on that team. They can
100%.
play good football. They just won't consistently play good football. So
And they're still a young team. Like they're unlike the Commanders where there are problems and you kind of don't expect those problems to improve. The Falcons have a very young team just about everywhere. Secondary, D-line, they invest those 2 first-round picks. The weapons they've got in Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and maybe you argue Kyle Pitts not finally. I mean, he had a good game Sunday.
He's been statistically very good this year.
Yeah, so like maybe the offense like is developing, and I wouldn't call Kyle Pitts a young guy. He was drafted 5 years ago, but he's still has room to grow, and maybe they can finally take advantage of the physical attributes that he brings. So who knows with that offense and with even that young defense, like they could continue to develop, and I could very much see them being a Detroit Lions comp of they just haven't figured it out yet. But they've got a lot of the pieces in place that if they do figure it out, they could be really good.
the problem is Dan Campbell,
Yeah.
Raheem Morris.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell the camera directly that's not gonna happen. The Falcons are gonna falcon. The Bears move up to Tier 6. They've quietly become 2-2 after starting the season 0-2. For me, Caleb, from an eye test perspective, was really impressive in this game against the Raiders. They had essentially no running attack with DeAndre Swift, just 3 yards per carry, and yet Caleb was able to make it work. And he was able to lead a game-winning drive to win by 1 point against the Raiders. They have to win the bye week this week, though, because they will play at the Commanders in the rematch of the Hail Mary post-bye week. So they got to have a good bye week, good early bye week. They're 2-2. You got to a good spot. You need to come out 3-2, beating the Commanders. A kind of a rivalry brewing with Washington very early on. That completes Tier 6. We'll go to Tier 5 now. The Steelers stay put. Again, quietly, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-1. I will say the defense has to figure some things out. They're giving up a ton of yards, a ton of points. But at least they're forcing turnovers, and they're forcing key turnovers as well. You had the 4 fumbles last week with the Patriots, and then 2 interceptions this week with the Vikings. My thing is there's still some confusing chemistry with Rodgers whenever he's on the field. Half the time it's him like celebrating, like and pointing at the sideline, pointing to Mike Tomlin, celebrating big plays, and then the other half is him just being pissed at people. I don't know what's going on there. There's just like some confusion between him and Arthur Smith.
Midlife crisis, I think.
There's also like at the end of that game, 4th and 1. Why aren't they just going to try and convert it and essentially winning the game? They give Carson Wentz another chance by taking the delay of game and punting. It's weird. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I just have questions about it going forward.
Sure.
The Steelers, though, stay put. They're 3-1. Cowboys move all the way up from Tier 7 to Tier 5. And like I said earlier, this is just the best offense in the league. Dak is, in my opinion, should win MVP if the Cowboys make the playoffs. The defense is one of the most brutal watches ever. They had another cover 3 miscommunication where Romeo Doubs just gets wide open because the safety thinks he has interior help, which he's supposed to. But your mid-safety, I believe it was Donovan Wilson at the time, goes to attack something else, and Romeo Doubs just has a walk-in touchdown.
Donovan Wilson.
They're giving up so much free stuff. Jordan Love last night, or on Sunday night, was 28 of 28 on passes under 10 yards in the air. Meaning they're just giving up free yardage. And they're still also getting beat over the top. It's not good. It's terrible. But Dak and that offense is so good that it doesn't matter right now.
Sure.
So the Cowboys move all the way up to Tier 5, but they would move up further if, maybe they had like a difference maker on the defensive line who could rush the passer. But that wouldn't make too much sense. Maybe you could trade some first-round picks for them. The Jaguars stay where they're put. Another quietly 3-1 team. The story of this team, though, has been all defense. They have forced 13 turnovers through 4 games. That's more than 3 a game. Last year, they forced only 9 turnovers the entire season.
That's crazy. And isn't that am I getting like isn't that the defense that I said they were bad last year and they made no changes, so why would you expect them to improve?
Exactly. You also got a comment on your Jaguars TikTok.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and
So you had the Jaguars, I think, starting the season 0-5, and someone has told you you're wrong. They started the year 3-1.
Oh, okay. I would
tough.
love to see their predictions for the other 31 teams.
Yeah, I would go look at that one, though. I thought it was a funny comment. We're getting a few of those on our TikToks.
I
It's
saw
only
someone on
been
your Saints
people that
TikTok.
have been saying it when we've been wrong. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything on anyone being
Sure.
us being
I
correct.
don't think that you will.
Yeah. So I eventually
I
I'll
may
be
have
going
to go.
back.
About to say I may have to go back and start commenting on the people who told us we were going to be wrong
Agreed.
and be like,
I can't wait
Update?
for that as we get to that point. But the Jaguars stay where they're put. They're 3-1. Big game. Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. To be 4-1, and now they're on top of the division with the Colts loss.
is it at home for them?
This past weekend at home in Jacksonville.
Wow.
It's a must-win, in my opinion, for the Jaguars to really prove that they're back to being a playoff contender. The Broncos move up They move up from tier 6. They picked up a must-win this weekend on Monday night. 2-2 now. Defense is playing oh so good. R.J. Harvey finally gets involved. Evan Ingram had touches. Mims had touches. Cortland Sutton had touches. J.K. Dobbins got to
First
100
100
yards.
First 100-yard rusher in the Sean Payton era in Denver.
It was finally a game where everyone got involved. It answered the questions I've been having for 2 or 3 weeks.
This is what happens when you play the Bengals.
And
Sure.
I hope it's not just that going forward. But their defense is playing so well. And Bo Nix is playing fine through 4 weeks. But they've got to continue to build and not lose games they're not supposed to, which they've already lost 2 in the Broncos. Or not the Broncos, but the Colts and the Chargers game. The Colts stay where they're at. Devastating loss. Just like they were fully in the game is the great positive of this. Daniel Jones in a big game, big moment on the road in Los Angeles. Didn't matter. They should have won the game, but Adonai Mitchell fumbles the ball out of the end zone. They unfortunately give up a big play to Tutu Atwell, which kind of seals it for the Rams. But they proved they're on par with the Rams. And we think highly of the Rams. A lot of the NFL media thinks highly of the Rams. And so, like Harris said earlier, the Colts are sneakily one of the better teams in the league. Just no one's talking about them because Daniel Jones is the quarterback. But they stay where they're at after a devastating loss. Tier 4, Kansas City Chiefs stay where they're at. And I know that's surprising, but for me, I thought the story of the game was more so just a Ravens have a Chiefs problem. Chiefs offense was good, but I thought the story of that was the Ravens defense is putrid and they were injured as well. And so for me, I'm not moving the Chiefs up until after this week. They beat the Jaguars. I think they'll move back up into Tier 3. And it's hard for me to move them ahead of the teams that are in Tier 3. Seattle, I think, is playing better. Another one of the teams they've already lost to, and then the other team, I think, is better than them as well. But they stay put. Packers have to drop. Devastating tie is the way I would put it. You can't lose that game to the Cowboys. They didn't. But you can't tie that game to the Cowboys. You should be 4-0 right now. And the teams above you, the Lions and Seattle and the Eagles and the Buccaneers, are all better records than you. And you should be like contending for number 1 overall seed because I told you were going to be the number 1 overall seed. So pick it up, Green Bay. They hopefully will next week. We'll see. The Los Angeles Rams, they stay where they're put. They capitalized off a big mistake, and that's what winning teams do. They bounce back from a brutal loss where you had a kick to win the game against the Eagles, and then Adonai Mitchell gives you a free gift. It's not even Christmas yet. It was September, and we're getting a Christmas gift. And they took it, and they went out there and won the game, and I have to give them a ton of credit. So they have to stay where they're at. That's just what good teams do. And Stafford has been excellent. He's really been great. Puka Nacua, best receiver in the league conversations. I think we need to start having those potentially.
For sure.
I think it's his right now. If you look solely at this year's play.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
Don't sleep on Emeka Egbuka, though.
Okay. I won't. I love Emeka Buka, but no.
The Ravens, so we're 1-3. How did we get here? Derrick Henry has one game over 100 yards rushing. The defense can't stop a nosebleed. Lamar's hurt. But this is a team that's still going to be atop of people's power rankings, and they deserve to be with how good they can be offensively. Like I said, I thought the Ravens-Chiefs game was a Ravens problem, not that the Ravens were bad. It's just they have a problem with the Chiefs. So they stay where they're at. And that may change with Cooper Rush. If he gets to start like 2 or 3 games, they might drop drastically. But as long as Lamar Jackson is playing, this is one of the best power-rated teams in the NFL. Tier 3, Seattle stays where they're at. Like I said last week, I told you that this is one of the better teams in football, and they proved that, I thought, on Thursday night. Sam Darnold, I don't know if he's still graded out, but I would imagine he's still graded out as the best quarterback in the NFL, according to PFF.
I'll pull it up.
They play so well defensively. They pressure the quarterback so well. And they won a game in which, like, JSN was not cooking until the second half. Their running game wasn't great, but Sam Darnold made the plays when it mattered. And at this point, it's very early in the season. You watch that game on Thursday, and you think that Sam Darnold going forward is maybe going to play well in big moments. But we still have to see more to know who.
Sure.
It is no longer Sam Darnold. Do you want to guess who the number one passer is, with the minimum dropbacks being 20% of 175, which is the maximum? You aren't. It's Marcus Mariota.
I mean, that's my dog. Let's be real here.
He is the highest graded passer
That's
in the NFL.
He has played very well.
With 54 dropbacks.
And also this past week, he was throwing to Luke McCaffrey
yeah.
as wide receiver.
QB2 is
2.
Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott with a 90.4 grade, and
Heck
then
yeah.
Sam Darnold with a 90.1 grade. So if we change that, even if we raise it to 50% of the maximum, it's still Matthew, Dak, Sam. So guys that have started through 4 games, he's third. If you lower the floor a little bit, lower the barrier, it's Marcus Mariota slides in with a 92.1 offensive grade.
I mean,
Pass grade, sorry.
man.
Sick.
Yeah, continue.
The Chargers, they're going to stay where they're at. I'm not going to overreact to this game. It was defensive slugfest. Herbert threw 2 picks. You're playing a 9 a.m. body kick time. Like, it's 9 a.m. on the Pacific Coast when they're playing this game this weekend. But Omari and Hampton got going. Another excellent week for Quentin Johnston. Keenan Allen is still healthy. Like, the Joe Alton injury is going to hurt, but I still think this is one of the better teams. They were just in a slugfest, and they just didn't quite capitalize on a few key moments.
Yeah, I mean, they had the ball with the opportunity to go win it.
Yep.
And Justin Herbert just wasn't able to do it.
But I'm not going to overreact personally. The way they played through the first 3 weeks is a much larger. It's 3 times the sample size compared to this one game where a lot of the West Coast teams don't play well when
Sure.
they travel across the country, play at noon. Statistically, that is backed up as well. The Lions have to move to Tier 3 for me. They only had 278 yards against the Cleveland Browns, so Cleveland still stayed one of the best defensive teams in the NFL in terms of yards per game. But they scored 34 points, and they got a good win. They didn't fall into a trap after beating the Ravens. They've got a lot of big games going forward, including at Kansas City in 2 weeks on Monday Night Football. Or it's in 3 weeks, actually, on Sunday Night Football. But the Bills, or the Lions, I should say, move all the way up to Tier 3. They got their mojo back offensively. They clearly are one of the best teams in the NFC going forward, and we'll look to see if that continues. For me, Tier 2, the 2 teams stay the same in the Eagles and the Buccaneers. I thought they played toe-to-toe with each other.
Sure.
Eagles dominate the first half. Bucks dominate the second. Baker throws a pick. That's the difference in the game. And arguably, the special teams punt block for a touchdown is the difference in the game as well. But these are the 2 teams that deserve to stay where they're at. I would pick these 2 teams over every team below them on a neutral field, and certainly at home. On the road might be a different story. They deserve to be here up on Tier 2. And Tier 1 is the Buffalo Bills. 24 out of 35 drives have resulted in points. 5 out of 9 this weekend against the New Orleans Saints. And I'll say, unlike every other team in the league, and tell me if I'm wrong, what is this team's glaring issue? I don't know if they have one. They are that good right now, and they're playing that well. They deserve to be the best team from a power rating perspective in the league. The Buffalo Bills close out Tier 1.
Cool.
Issues with it, Sanders?
No,
Any?
I really like seeing the Lions move up. I feel like they've been putting a lot of questions, answering a lot of questions through the 3 weeks since that loss to Green Bay, showing some of the trickiness, some of the creativity. That's the word. Creativity on offense, and then the defense has been playing well. Denver and Dallas, yeah. I feel like the exact opposite teams. Dallas, driven by a fantastic offense, and then Denver driven by a really good defense with an offense that's maybe finding itself right now. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to once again the top three. I feel like do have to stay the same. I think Seattle with their I don't know, Sam Darnold's just playing, like you said, really well. He's no longer the highest grade quarterback, but he's playing really well. I could see them trying to make a move up at some point, but yeah, no changes from me.
I have a change.
Okay.
Especially in the lower tiers, the lowest of the lows.
Oh, wow.
I think wins really do matter, and so I would have not had the Saints rise into tier 7, and I would have the Dolphins in their place instead because they did pick up a win. That's my biggest issue with the list.
Except that I know I agree. I think the Saints are better than the Dolphins
All right.
because it is a power ranking. The Dolphins are so bad.
The Saints are quite bad as well.
Okay,
So.
the Dolphins were given 3 turnovers, including 2 in scoring position for the Jets.
Yeah.
And they only won by 6.
Yeah, they got the job done.
Yeah, but the Saints played the Bills and almost won.
The Dolphins almost beat the Bills too.
Yeah, but you gotta think more recent than that.
Saints have also almost beat the 49ers and Cardinals.
Sure. I think the win, especially down low,
the Saints
the
will play
wins
the
gotta
Jets
matter.
at some point too, and I think they'll pick up a win there too.
Okay, well,
I hope not. I don't mind that disagreement. I don't disagree with the wins perspective.
I'm not over here trying to die on this hill of that being a flip because it is also in tier 7 in the left off category, so it just really doesn't matter that much.
Yes,
But
I-
either of those teams will be sniffing the playoffs.
my biggest thing is in the history of this segment and going forward, I never want it to be just the standings,
As it should be.
because that is just the standings. This is power ratings, and I would pick the Saints over the Dolphins.
Okay.
And I don't think that's just homerism either. The Saints will play at the Dolphins later this year.
I can't wait for that game.
So we'll get that theory proven out. But I don't.
Okay.
I don't disagree necessarily.
Well.
For the wins there.
Regardless, good pyramid. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Last thing we got to do, as always, before we get off, is pick our games for Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we're doing the Mississippi State A&M game. That's a given. I can't wait. Other college football games. Are we doing Alabama Vandy?
Yes,
Okay.
without question.
Are we doing Texas Tech Houston?
I would target that as our fan.
Okay,
game of the
I like
week.
that. Miami, Florida State.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2. Not counting the state game because we're always doing that one. So we just need one more then.
So the picks are between Boise State and Notre Dame, Texas at Florida, Virginia goes to Louisville,
Okay.
I kind of like that game.
Do we want to do Virginia, Louisville?
and that's it.
Okay.
There's another SEC game at Kentucky at Georgia, but Virginia Louisville sounds fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that one then.
It's an unbeaten Louisville and then a Virginia team that just beat Florida State. So that
Yeah.
could
And
be a
is
really good
undefeated
matchup.
in conference, as we discovered.
Yeah,
This
because
is
that
true.
NC State game was out of conference to preserve the rivalry.
Crazy. All right. And then for NFL, we're going to do Chargers Commanders, I assume.
Absolutely.
Even though I don't really want to talk about the state of my team currently, but the show must go on. Other,
Buccaneers at Seahawks. I would like to do.
let's do that
Oh,
one.
that'll be a fun one.
And then I would say the debate is between Chiefs at Jaguars and the Broncos at Eagles.
Let's do Chiefs Jaguars because
Yeah.
I
Sanders,
don't.
if you had to guess the spread on Broncos Eagles right now.
Broncos at Eagles. Eagles by 1.5.
Wow. So you think the Broncos are favored of the Eagles on a neutral field?
Well, given that you asked, I feel like it's going to be supposed to be like.
I'll just say
surprise
Eagles
me.
5.5.
Split the difference. It's 3.5.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
so it's a pick 'em on a neutral field.
it's essentially it'd be Eagles -1 on a neutral field, which is essentially a pick 'em.
Yeah. I would rather do the Chiefs Jaguars
Sure.
because we've not talked about Jaguars yet, and I'm gonna be honest, I really don't want to talk about the Eagles again.
I agree.
Agreed.
Have we
So-
done the Eagles every week?
Close to it.
Not week 1 technically because
Okay,
it was
yeah.
Thursday night.
That's right.
Thursday show will be a little not different, but like we'll kind of be in a hurry to get out of here, maybe a little bit. We're driving down to Jackson, and then we're making the drive to College Station the next day. I'm thinking I might do my first model. I ran it today. Pretty
Oh, boy.
interesting.
Do you want to give us a spoiler on who the top team is, or are you going to hold
Do
that?
it well. So okay, I've got it. I have it run 2 ways. So I have the most deserving, and then I have like power ranking, and the number 1 for both is is wild. You want to know who's power ranked number 1 right now?
Georgia.
Alabama.
Which
Okay.
you know hurts his soul.
When I ran that and saw that pop up, I got very
Yeah, that's
sad.
fine.
You want to know who's ranked most deserving right now? Indiana.
Most deserving completely takes the talent standpoint out of it.
Yeah, so basically power ranking like takes talent into it, and then most deserving looks at like who you've played, what their records are, and then also I also look at like how you perform relative to other teams' offenses and defenses. And
Okay.
right now, I can tell you. Let me find it.
I'd be interested to run your power ratings against this weekend.
Yeah, like after this weekend.
Like against this weekend to
Oh yeah, okay.
determine results.
So basically, like one of the things it takes into account is Ohio State holds offenses to 27 points under their average. So it doesn't look at like points per game or defensive points per game. It looks at how you perform. Because I don't think that points per game or like how you hold opponents is like super important because it can be very opponent dependent. But like Indiana is top 4 in both metrics. They hold opponents to 17 points under expected and outscore opponents by 21 points over expected.
Do you have a value that's given in your power rating? Like a number?
Point spread?
Yeah.
No, not right
Okay.
now. Not there yet.
Heard.
But working on it. Anyway.
But you do have a rankings.
I do have rankings,
Okay.
yes. So like we can run like the model, the power ranking. We can do that. We can like add a column for the pick'em, I guess. Although it doesn't have a spread, so it wouldn't be able to pick them. But we can still see how that would go.
Yeah. Sure.
But Alabama won, crazy.
I love to see it personally.
Mississippi State still top 25, so that's huge.
That is huge.
Um,
I'm waiting for my damn sports book to give me Mississippi State plus 14.5 already.
yeah.
So I can bet that.
Why aren't they giving it to you?
It's just staying at plus 14.
Oh, gotcha.
But
so I'm
plus
just waiting on
14 and a
that.
half is, I mean,
Well,
plus
then if
four-
you lose by 2 touchdowns, you cover
yeah, exactly.
So it makes sense.
But I'm excited to drive through the state of Louisiana
Ooh,
on Friday,
that is big. Is Texas? Can you
And
not
Sunday.
sports bet in Texas?
unfortunately.
Texas is like one of the most strict about it. There's no casinos in Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
So it's
I don't know why. I just kind of
pretty tight.
assumed that like Texas, like that. I don't know. It just feels like a sports betting state.
bunch of gamblers there apparently.
I don't know. It just like with
It
as
does.
big as football is in Texas, you would think that like
Yeah, we're pure about it though, you know.
oh yeah, for the love of the game and all that crap. Okay, all right. Yeah, Johnny Manziel
I-
was a pure footballer.
Yeah, I watch Friday Night Lights. I don't know if it's pure.
No, it's not.
I
I think we get out of here though.
Yeah.
We've hit everything we wanted to hit. Thank you, Harris, for chiming in the chat. And thanks to anyone else who watched along or has listened along post live stream. We would greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back for you all Thursday to preview next week's games. See y'all then.
Peace.